TNA is the best wrestling in the whole world.
But can you believe it? Kurt Angle's in the impact zone. Olympic slam! Olympic slam by Angle and Samoa Joe!
Think this is funny? No. Why would you do this?
Told you.
Get a life! Get a life!
The American flag, this stands for lies, exploitation, and racism!
We haven't always been America's favorites, but we will always be America's most wanted.
Death to ECW. Long live TNA.
This is BS! This sucks! I've lost my objectivity, and I don't give a damn!
Welcome, everybody, to You've Got to Be Kidding Me, episode number 54. We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. We are talking on this episode, we are talking about the month that is November 2006.
We're back, baby!
That would have been seamlessly edited had you not interrupted my flawless podcast reset.
Hence me interrupting it.
On this episode, we are talking about the month that is November 2006, leading to Genesis 2006. I'm Garrett Kidney, and you heard him. It's Liam Jones.
Wow, I got like a big entrance then.
Yeah.
Yes, we're back. The most on-time podcast in history is back again. Regularly scheduled programming every 2 weeks on the dot. Here we are returning.
Are you committing to every 2 weeks?
I'm never committing to anything.
Because I was like, maybe we can do one a month. If we do one a month, I'm happy. Whereas you're like, back to the original every 2 weeks. If you go and look at the podcast description, which I originally wrote for the start of this podcast nearly over 4 years ago now. No, 3 years? 3 years ago. No, 4 years. This podcast is over 4 years old. Fuck me. It did say every 2 weeks, and I did recently have Rich take that out.
Was that a fun message to send?
I don't, because I was getting him to update the podcast logo because it still had just like the plain white background. So I was like, use the nicer looking one. And Rich was like, do you want to take out the every 2 weeks part too?
Wow, okay, so it was passive aggressive is what you're saying.
Yeah, Rich is like, get your shit together. You produce your podcast more often.
That's kind of fucked up.
We just have 4 podcasts a day on the Voices of Wrestling Network. We need 5.
It's true. About damn time
that somebody produces content about wrestling. There's not enough of it out there.
It's true. Like, if there's one thing this world has been missing, it is 2 more Caucasian voices talking about things and making statements known.
2 white men who need their voices heard.
Who else? Who else is going to be heard? You know? Our voices are the loudest, damn it.
Is wrestling content dead?
I think, are we in post-wrestling good. I want to be in post-wrestling content.
Yeah.
There was too much of it happening. That's why we had to step away. we had to leave because there was too much happening. And it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair on the listeners. It wasn't fair on any potential listeners, you know? So we exclusively made Patreon content.
Because I was thinking about this in that, like, we are firmly in the age of the influencer wrestling content where it's all like symbiotic stuff where you just want interviews, you want to make faces when AJ Lee returns on Raw or SmackDown. That's what wrestling content is now, and like, because that's the stuff that does well. Like, no one's gonna make a fucking 4-hour hyper researched 18 pages of notes episode of the TNA wrestling podcasts because that's crazy. Why would anybody do that?
Why would anyone? And why would anyone listen to it more specifically?
When instead you could just make faces at the thing that happened on SmackDown this week.
Sounds so much easier.
It's substantially easier.
Not to discredit anyone that makes that content.
And if they would like to promote our content, I think that's only fair.
Are we getting into more beefs? We stepped away for like months after we had beef, and now we're coming back and we're starting more beef.
We technically speaking don't have beef with Cultaholic anymore. Or what culture? Which one did we have beef with? It's Cultaholic, I think. It's Cultaholic, right?
Cultaholic,
yeah. Because the man with whom we were beefing, Jack the Jobber, has gone solo.
Mm-hmm. We also like rescinded the beef on audio.
That's true. We did bury the beef, but also the beef no longer exists because he is outlessless. He's going out by himself. So we will promote Jack the Jobber, our close personal podcast friend, who again only started the podcast when we started the beef. So it is going to be very strange if he sticks with it long enough to find multiple episodes where we both have the beef, then squash the beef, then say, hey, go check out Jack the Jobber's individual stuff, because putting yourself out there is tough and he deserves your support.
Also, technically, the beef wasn't with you.
That's true. I am a pure and wholesome and innocent in the world. I would never start beefs.
It's true. It's just me. I'm a problem.
So I'm worried for the state of wrestling content. Because, like, I was thinking about this when Goldberg retired. Mm-hmm. Partially because no one gave a shit. But also partially because the thing that would happen when somebody was retiring is you'd get, like, recommended match threads. You would get people doing retrospectives, deep dive podcasts. You would get people, you know, writing their personal relationship with Goldberg's biggest moments. You would get all that stuff traditionally. And that stuff's kind of gone. No one does that anymore.
I think part of it probably is maybe that wrestling just isn't that interesting now. There's like not that much to talk about. There's not like a giant hot streak of some company. It's not the 2010s and like everyone's like opening their eyes to New Japan. Like there's not like something that is emphasizing or encouraging people to go out there and be like, I need to talk about this, I need to write about this, I need to make an account dedicated to this. Because like there is still, I think maybe the content has just gotten more normie.
Yeah.
Like there's just like WWE Stan accounts and things that are a lot simpler. There's not enough like sicko shit. But maybe that's the problem, is like we're just so into like the sicko shit that we don't even like see the normie stuff because it just doesn't come across our purview very often.
Yeah, and I do think the sicko shit is getting smaller, though.
I don't know. I think the sicko shit is not necessarily getting small. Well, maybe because, like, when I was growing up and listening to podcasts, there was, like, 8 different, like, puro deep cut podcasts that I listened to. And now there's, like, none of that. So it's like maybe there is. I don't know. I think maybe wrestling is too homogenized and everything's kind of dull and boring. And, like, there's not enough sicko shit for people to ingest to be dedicated sicko shit accounts.
That's true. Like, what are you going to be a sicko shit guy about? Beyond? Like,
yeah. Well, my thing was like, I thought about sicko shit today actually, because I was like, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anyone, but there will be signs, which will be me booking Mad Dog Connolly versus Kaita Yano.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, and like, it would just be like a random indie pops up and this match is happening, and everyone would be like, what? Like, it'd be like, because there is no sicko shit anymore.
Yeah, everyone is doing normie shit. And I do think, like, it is a consequence, I think, of the shift from the primary place where wrestling conversation is, like, defined. That shifted in the last, I think, post-COVID, really, shifted from Twitter to TikTok. And I think then the overall sensibilities of wrestling moved with it. Whereas, like, in 2015, you had the hardcore diehards. They were all on Twitter. And I think they had a more meaningful impact on wrestling as a whole. They were a larger portion of the voice. And now those people are they're still on Twitter. They're still in their little corners. And then you have just people making their faces on TikTok that does a billion views. And that's what everyone's pandering toward.
I just think there's too much. Oh, well, we were talking about it, like, a couple days ago when we're talking about like user generated content is everywhere, so it's kind of nowhere because like you're just lost in the sea of things. And I feel like maybe that is translated to wrestling as well, because it's like there's so many Twitter accounts with like above 800 followers now. Yeah. And it's like that used to be like a point of, ooh, this is someone who might have something interesting to like say, but just based on like longevity alone, there's like that percentage is way higher. You can even go like more macro and be like, there at like 10 years ago, the amount of YouTube channels that were over 1 million subscribers was quite small. And now it's like 40 times that, because there's just longevity and there's more people that know about it. Like everything has expanded, which has made like the niche less important, or the niche get like washed out.
The niche is somehow even nicher. Like the percentage of which the niche takes up is smaller than it has ever been.
And then also when you pair that with the niche being less interesting.
Because like what's like the only thing you could really do an interesting niche on it, not the only thing, because like you can do Dragon Gate podcasts. Case Lowe and Mike Spears do.
Case Lowe, by the way, might legitimately be the one exception to everything we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know if I have heard a better wrestling interviewer in like my entire time listening to wrestling content than Case Lowe.
Because the problem is you get one of two people interviewing wrestlers or wrestling people. You get people who know nothing about wrestling, who will just be like, oh, you know, you're coming to town, tell us about it.
Which can be kind of fun in its own thing. Like, there can be like little moments that are interesting. Seeing how people handle that dynamic is interesting more than anything.
Yeah, and you'll see Kyle Fletcher do the weather, and it'll be a fun little thing, but you're not going to learn anything about like Kyle Fletcher's mentality about professional wrestling from that kind of interview. And then the other side is the when are you coming back to this town? How did it feel to win a title, people? Which you also learn absolutely nothing from.
And then you get like the feckless cowards cloud chasers.
Yeah. Whereas Case is the very interesting case of, pardon the pun, a person who has a normie platform. He works for a freaking music radio station, but somehow gets interviews with Tony Khan, but is a wrestling fan. So he can spend 7 minutes just talking about freaking Dragon Gate with Ricochet. And I'm sure Ricochet is utterly delighted to do that because no one else is going to ask him to talk about like Naruki Doi and Shima.
Yeah. I don't know. And like as a listener who cares more about like those sort of topics, it's refreshing. And also like even just how he conducts the interviews, like this is the Case Glaze session, but even like how he just conducts them, I feel like they're more interesting, and I don't know, it feels passionate in a way that like everything else feels so fucking stale.
Because it feels like they're actually... Because that's the thing that drives me crazy about, like, the terrible press conference questions. Because there is the crew that are always, like, ask hard questions, which I'm on the side of, yes, do that too. But, like, you can ask softball questions that get interesting answers. You can ask somebody about, like, oh, you know, how did this pay-per-view come together? At what point did you know the main event was the main event? And, like, that's not a hard question. That's not challenging somebody. But you'll get, like, an interesting insight into Tony Khan's booking philosophy if you ask him something like that. As opposed to like, when are you coming back to San Antonio?
Yeah. But I get it if you're like the San Antonio
Chronicle
star,
or whatever, yeah.
And you're like what is the question that like your readers might care about most?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, when will this show return here?
But to circle all the way back, the point I was going to make is I think CMLL is the only like interesting thing you can make niche content about, and frankly, increasingly less niche by the day with the level of success they're having in their freaking Pokemon crossover.
Well, the more thing is like, to go on a CMLL tangent for a minute, it's like, it's only niche to us.
Yeah.
Like, in its world, it is the biggest thing, you know? And, like, that's what I kind of appreciate about it. I like being on the outside a little bit and looking at CMLL and going, like, wow, this thing is fucking massive and cool, and we don't talk about it in, like, Western wrestling media as much as we probably should. And it doesn't get the accolades that it probably should. Because you look at it and you're like, this is the second biggest company in the world, probably.
Yes.
It's like, it's between it and AEW, like, and you can call you could call consistency versus, like, highlights in that argument, you know?
AEW, it depends on what you're measuring. Like, CMLL sells more tickets than AEW. Like, slam dunk easily. Maybe doubles the tickets AEW sells, if you were to do the math. AEW probably has a larger global audience. So however you want to juggle that, juggle it. But
well, AEW definitely has a larger global audience. I don't think there's, like, even a debate about that. It's like, do you... Like, again, it's like, what do you count more? Doing 10,000 seats multiple times a week or year, or hitting 80,000 in one, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, I think there's merits to both the discussions. You know, like, we talked about, me and Garrett, like, privately have talked about how crazy the Dave quote is that, like, CMLL, if you do all the addition, might have outdrawn WWE this year.
They might have sold more tickets in 2025. Like Dave was like, you know, he hasn't quite done the math yet, but like when you think about they sell 10 to 15,000 tickets maybe 3 times a week, like it's going to be a conversation. Like it's going to be pretty close.
So, in conclusion, wrapping up this brief segment before I have something else I want to ask in relation to wrestling content. CMLL for every award at the end of the year.
Oh yeah. Like not even close. If anybody else wins like best company, best booker, I have no idea who books CMLL, which might be the problem that most people don't have any idea who books CMLL.
That was always the problem with like giving Dragon Gate its clout or whatever.
But like it is the best booked promotion. It is the most successful promotion in 20. Like there's years where like it didn't win, but WWE was the fucking biggest booming business in the history of wrestling, which I guess it technically still is, but it's kind of on the downswing of that now rather than the upswing of that. Whereas CMLL is just like runaway success, great company, just great shows to watch. The easiest watches.
Easiest shows in the goddamn world to just put on.
They just fly by. They're very simple, straightforward wrestling. You'll never be like, what the fuck is happening? Which is always the thing. People are like, oh, you know, I need the commentary. I need to speak English. It's like, it's the most like route one straightforward wrestling to understand. You should never be confused.
And like, even if you lose a little minutia, it's like, I don't think it takes away very much. And also you have the, like, maybe the best, like, most accessible range of English-speaking Twitter accounts to get you caught up. If I ever have a CMLL question, like Rob Viper, Lucha Blog are right there, and they will answer it every time. Like, I don't even have to DM them. It's just on their fucking timeline. If I'm watching a show and I'm like, this is confusing, I can go to either of them talking about the show and I will find the answer.
Yeah, so Sarah's content not being dead between Lucha Blog and Case Low.
I was going to ask, like, what not wrestling, like, promotion-specific generated content do you watch that isn't, like, uploads from a company on the YouTube or whatever? Like, what wrestling broader content do you ingest in 2025?
I'm a very bad person to ask this question because I talk about how wrestling content is dead. I watched very little of it anyway. I'm a Days of Thunder listener. Our boys over at Days of Thunder. Shout out to Dave, who recently got married. Congratulations, Dave.
Congratulations.
That's maybe it in terms of regular stuff. In terms of like something I would regularly consume, I think it's just Days of Thunder, which is on hiatus at the moment. So I'm a hypocrite. That's what I'm talking about. I like reading. I like Joseph Montesio. I enjoy reading his content. What does Simon call his blog? Handworked.
Handwork.
Yeah, I enjoy Simon's writing, Brock's writing. So I enjoy like blogs and writing more than I enjoy like written or video or audio or video content. But yeah,
I've been watching a lot of a YouTuber called Rushmel.
Yeah,
who makes like feud storyline summary videos where he like uses clips throughout the entire feud. And I find them really fun. They're like a really easy watch. Like I watched one that he did on Nigel's like ROH title run. That was really fun.
So content dead, not ours. Our content's back.
Yeah, our content never left. You're only a hater and a hypocrite if you think that we did.
We have Patreon. If you're a hater and a hypocrite that wants to give us money, you can head to patreon.com/kiddingme or tnachat.com where you can support us on $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month tiers, where you can get extra shows, watch-alongs, in-person watch-alongs as well from now on. We're in the same room for watch-alongs for a while. Extra shows, show notes, the freaking Chris Rock movie reviews, Randy Savage album reviews, end of the year drafts, end of the year rewards. There is an absolute pile, an absolute bundle of content. Explode Zone, which I'm not sure have I done a main episode of the show since I started Explode Zone.
No, you definitely haven't.
We are reviewing Explosion on the Patreon, or at least I am. I'm going through the Explosion archives as they're being uploaded to TNA Plus. So if you're ever wondering, if you're listening to the show and you're like, you know what, the one knock on the You've Got to Be Kidding Me podcast is they don't talk enough about what's happening on Explosion.
I'm a big Explose head, and I need someone to break down these shows.
That is happening over on Patreon, where I think I have 7 or so episodes of Explode Zone up. They're like 20 minutes a hit. I cover 3 episodes of Explosion per episode. It's a freaking recap show with squash matches. So there's not a ton to talk about, but it's fun to be like, hey, Kenny Dykstra was on this episode. And then you can hear me talk about Kenny Dykstra for 2 minutes.
It's more like you hear a name and then you wax poetically about their career.
Yeah, it's like Chris Hero's here. Whoa! Robbie E in 2003? Did you know that?
An original.
So that's on the Patreon feed, patreon.com/kiddingme, tnachat.com. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we will have regular content. You can also check out the link in our description where you can buy our merchandise, where, once again, we've had a new shirt for 5 months, but we haven't had an episode to plug it. You can get the brand new Scorpion and Birds t-shirt, which we designed. It has, I think, black, white, and long sleeve variants. So you can check that out based on our iconic bit, Scorpions versus Birds. You can also get the Kevin Nash Graf shirt, the Styles Daniels Joe shirt, and you can, if you've ever looked at our posters, we have a cool Abyss poster this month. If you've ever looked at those posters and thought, gee whiz, I'd like to have a copy of that poster for myself, there's a bunch of our posters up there in our store. If you are a patron, you can save 10% with a code that's in our pinned post on Patreon. So you can save and again, our little pro tip, if you go to Patreon, you subscribe on the $1 tier, you can get that discount code and you will save more money than you actually spent on Patreon. So if you buy a t-shirt, you'll save 10%. That's more than the $1 you'll spend to get the coupon code. Life hack for you. You can do all that as we bring us to the month that was November 2006 in TNA wrestling. We start with the news.
As we always do.
Vince Russo is back.
And you know what?
Yeah?
My cold heart has warmed my hard knock concrete stance. This is where you slice in me screaming about him. Has softened. I am happy to welcome back Vince Russo into the arms of TNA wrestling. I enjoy Vince Russo, I've decided. I'm a Vince Russo defender.
Right. Like there are like the thing that makes me not tear my hair out about having to go back and watch Russo stuff. It would have been a different case in the moment, but having to go back and watch his stuff could be worse. There's been worse bookers in TNA history.
Yeah, it's true.
There's been less interesting television booked by people who are supposedly better bookers. So at the very least, Russo's TV, until we get to 2014 or whatever, it's not boring. There's lots of stuff. I have to write a lot more notes. That is the real burden here, because there's 7 million segments and stuff happens in every single segment now. There's not just a match anymore. There's a match that has 4 angles that run through it. So I have to type more. But other than that, stuff happens on these shows.
My thing is, and I talked about it in the watch along at patreon.com, where my problem with Russo is not his TV. I think TV can be wacky, it can be stupid, bullshit can happen that doesn't make sense. My problem is when that bleeds into pay-per-views and into payoffs, and then so it feels like that we never actually get proper payoffs. That's where I have my problem, is I feel like pay-per-view should be sacred. It should be the place where we get good matches. It's the place where we get clean finishes. That's the point of it. It's the bookmark to the story. I don't care about all the fucking bullshit and wacky, wild ways that you have to get to it, because that's better on the most than just boring television.
It's funny, I didn't include it in the show notes, but Dave has like 5 paragraphs based on the primetime special that aired this month. TNA had a primetime special where they had a 2-hour episode to celebrate the fact that they're on Thursdays in primetime going forward. And Dave had like a 5-paragraph tangent about how, because he had heard the show was good, he had invited some wrestling friends over to watch that TNA primetime episode. So it's a 5-paragraph tangent about how, like, oh, you know, we watched the Christian Rhino cage match, and my old, because he's like, oh, they're like old wrestling fans who like wrestling in the 80s and the 70s, and he's like, oh, well, they didn't like when the referees handed things in. That was goofy, and they rejected the match going forward. So it is funny. And there's like paragraphs of those little anecdotes of like, oh, you know, this took them out of it, this, and it's not Dave's opinion about any of this shit. It's all just him recounting his friends' reactions to the various Vince Russo wackiness that took place on this episode of television. And it is funny to see like that different perspective from yours there, which is like, I kind of am into a little pro wrestling goofiness once you give me good matches on pay-per-view. Whereas Dave is like, there's good wrestling, but anytime something stupid happens, it takes me and my friends out of it.
Which is like, I can understand that perspective, but I have to think like, hey, I went to this shit-eating convention and they were eating shit. I'm shocked. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
What's the point? Like, you know what you're getting into. You know what you're watching. And B, it's like, I don't know. It must be fucking boring. Like, maybe wrestling just isn't for you. Or maybe US wrestling isn't just for you. Because, like, this is part of the deal. There's gonna be silliness. There's gonna be shit that you go, you just gotta kind of shrug it off. Like, you can't expect a Vince Russo booked pro wrestling company, or even an American TV company in this day and age, to just not have something that's going to make you roll your eyes a little, you know? I feel like you have to be charitable and just, if 80% of it's good and 80% of it is not going to ruin it for you, then I think you can just accept the 20%.
And if you look at the history of US pro wrestling in totality, this is what it is, you know?
Yeah, that's my biggest thing about it. Is like, again, like, what are you expecting? Like, I understand if it's not what you want, but there's a lot of other wrestling out there.
And I'm always of the firm opinion, I try as best I can to never put pro wrestling in a box. I try to never say this is the limited parameters of what I think pro wrestling can or can't be. I'm like, was that thing done well? Is it silly, but it's done well? I can be on board with it. There is silly and done bad, which is a lot of the history of US wrestling. That's the problem. It's not that it's silly, it's that it's bad. Silly is not inherently bad. Bad silly is bad.
Yeah.
But to circle back, Vince Russo's back. So TNA, he's been back for about a month now. They decided to interview him on the website, on TNAwrestling.com.
That is a choice. At least they're not hiding him at this point.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how companies handle websites back in these days, because this is the era in which websites were a thing. You actually had content for websites as opposed to everything is just social now. So this is where like we had columns and we had websites, and like it's funny to see the differing approaches to websites, because we'll talk about that in relation to both Monty Brown and Kurt Angle in this, in terms of how the companies portray each other on their official company websites.
You know what I liked about the WWE website growing up?
What?
The Power 25.
Ah.
I used to check that shit religiously as a kid. Like the day it came out, I was like, I gotta go to the WWE website. I gotta see who's at number 1 in the Power 25.
Who had the best week? And you're like, fucking no, Jack Swagger had an amazing week. Why is he only at number 4?
Yeah, I don't know. I like that shit. I thought it was fun.
I do kind of miss that kind of stuff where like AEW's website is the most like, here's our events. We don't even put our TV lineup on it most weeks. It's just
Because I don't know their TV lineup most weeks.
Well, that's a problem too. Like the idea of like a weekly column on a website for any company now is just done. No one does that shit.
Yeah.
People like film a TikTok instead.
Hey, I think all social media managers and community managers that make their talent do that stuff is perfectly reasonable.
They're the real heroes, I think.
That's what I'm saying.
In that interview, Vince Russo said he is no longer all about ratings. He says, when I started with WWE and WCW, I was a man on a mission. It was all about ratings, all about writing the best show I possibly could, he told Ross Foreman. It was tunnel vision because it really was a personal challenge to me. Today, at 45, it's not about that. My goals are much, much different from what they were 10 years ago. My goals today are to make the wrestling industry a better place and to really give the boys in the business a better working environment, to give them an opportunity, to give them a chance. Russo says he hadn't watched much wrestling in the 2 years following his last stint in TNA that ended when Dusty Rhodes took over as head booker. He said he was contacted on a Friday, thought about it over the weekend, and then agreed to join the promotion the following Tuesday.
That's awesome.
Things just happen now, and things just seem to fall into place, he says. It just seemed like the right time. I'm a firm believer that things happen for a reason.
Because of Jesus.
Yeah, remember, like, I think it was like the May episode where we had that Vince Russo will never ever return to wrestling creative quote? But Jesus intervened in his life and told him to go book Eric Young angles.
He said, son, you have a higher purpose. And this is what it is.
You need to show Kevin Nash's ass on television. And I feel the opportunity to return presented itself for a reason, Russo said, and I wanted to investigate that reason and find out on my own why I was supposed to return to TNA. Russo said he hesitated to return to the business after his conversion to Christianity. He says he sees the same type of smut programming on today's wrestling TV that he introduced in wrestling in WWE and WCW during his previous booking stints.
I appreciate that he acknowledges it was him.
Yeah, he is, like, it's not the Garfield meme for once. It's like if Garfield was trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah, he's like, holy shit, I've gone too far.
What have I unleashed? I have to bring decency back to this industry. Particularly the TNA, which is what he insisted this company be called, by the way. That was his idea. With women, Russo says. It really, really bothers me to see girls in the business looked at as nothing but TNA, he says.
Women defender. Vince Russo is here. He's here to save women's wrestling, bring a start the Knockouts division, bring women's wrestling to the front of the pro wrestling industry in the United States. He is here, a hero.
Even though I had a lot to do with TNA in the mid and late 90s, I never really looked at women that way. It's almost prehistoric to be looking at women in 2006 the way we did years ago, says Vinny
Speak
Rue.
on it. Fucking speak on it, king.
That is such a funny stance for him to take. For him to be the man who is like, the women have not been presented right in this industry, and I am the man to fix it.
He's so sick. He's so sick with it.
Without being able to name specific names, Russo said there are talented women in wrestling.
There's one on your roster. One of the best of all time on the roster. Just say her.
Who we would like to see be given an opportunity to perform in the ring. Russo acknowledged that TNA's biggest downfall could be one of the top 5 problems plaguing the promotion. With so many people in management concerned about job security, Russo says it's important to look at the big picture of everyone keeping his or her job if they work toward a common goal to help grow the business. It's just a matter of TNA not being its own worst enemy, he says. By that, I mean not getting caught up in the wrestling business, not getting caught up in the day-to-day or the politics or the gossip. TNA has to keep their eyes focused on the company's goals. We've taken leaps and bounds since day one back at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Russo says Kurt Angle is an important acquisition for the company, not only as a wrestler, but as a locker room leader. He says, I think Kurt Angle, with his experience and what he's accomplished in the wrestling business, is going to have a great influence and great impact on that locker room.
Impact?
Well, which will really help the talent grow in a hurry. And that's what they need because most of these guys are so young.
I think, to give some credit to Vince Russo.
Yes, sir.
I think he has acknowledged potential downfalls.
Yes.
Problems.
Mm-hmm.
Benefits.
Right.
Success opportunities in the company. Like, if we're taking this interview completely on face value, I think this is a healthy mindset to return to creative with.
Yeah.
I don't think he's blaming anyone. I don't think he's taking jabs necessarily. It's more of a broader sense of what has historically torn pro wrestling companies apart.
Mm.
The problem
Yes.
is, historically, he is in the middle of all of that all the time forever.
Yep. And if anything, he's like patient zero of all of that.
If anyone else in pro wrestling entering the creative business had this exact same interview, it would be quite hopeful. But the fact that it is literally just this one guy makes it daunting at the very least.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe it all works out really well.
Everything goes fine. We have no way of knowing.
It's true.
We just have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
That's what I'm saying.
Speaking of someone who doesn't want to give Russo the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, this is crazy.
At the September pay-per-view, Jim Cornette told Dutch Mantel and Jeff Jarrett that he didn't want to get in the way of their business or cause a problem due to Vince Russo being booker, so he gave his notice. He suggested coming at Bound for Glory, having a heel give him a beating, and that would be a way to write him out. He said in January they could reevaluate the situation basically based on if Russo had been fired by that point. I love that. I love that so much.
I do love a generational hater.
I love him being like, come back to me in 3 months, he'll be gone, I'll come back. Jarrett told Cornette that they needed him and that Russo was a changed man and asked to give them a chance. Cornette cut his Russo promo about how he buried Cornette, Jim Ross, and anyone with an accent at the studio, and that he hated Russo for ruining careers, booking WCW into oblivion, exposing the business to an undreamed of level, and ending noting he's booked for 3 companies. The first he walked out on with no notice, the second one he destroyed, and the third he got removed from power. Jarrett told Cornette he wouldn't accept his resignation and they would continue to book him. He did tell Cornette he could no-show his book dates, but noted he'd be the one that would come off looking bad in that situation. Jarrett asked Cornette to give the company a chance, and the agreement was made that the two would avoid each other at all costs. Russo would never interact with or give orders to Cornette, and Cornette would never try to physically attack Russo.
So funny that that's the compromise. He will not tell you what to do, and you cannot assault him.
These are fair terms under which these two men can coexist.
It's really funny how, when I was, 13, I was like, fuck yeah, Jim Cornette, right? Fuck Russo, what a bitch, we hate him, he ruined the business, etc., etc. And now I'm like, fuck Jim Cornette, Vince Russo the GOAT.
It is funny how those things change. Because I would have been an OG Jim Cornette podcast listener, pre his current podcast, when he would just say how shit Vince McMahon was and talk about 80s wrestling. He had a fun little podcast going there when you had to download fucking files off a forum or whatever the fuck. I can't remember what that podcast network thing was called. It was like Bill Barron's thing, I think. But Cornette had a podcast there, and it was perfectly fine and not as racist and horrible and trying to tear wrestling to the ground. And yeah, now I'm just like, why would you ever listen to that man? Why would you ever give him a moment of your day? Why would you make him you directly put that man into your ears by choice?
It's crazy how Vince Russo has been vindicated.
Well, Vince Russo, listen, you don't want to watch Vince Russo's podcast either.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know much about Vince Russo's podcast, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, I have been exposed to Jim Cornette's podcast clips art, and that it cannot be worse than that.
No, it's about on par, really. It's the same, modern... He doesn't do racist thumbnails as much as Jim Cornette just so happens to trip and fall into doing. But...
the luck of that guy, huh?
I know, it's every so often, it's just, how does it happen that he just happens to do racist thumbnails twice a year?
Someone should really, get onto his social guy.
Maybe they're not the heroes.
That's what I'm about. You're telling me that everyone is as bad, so I don't know anymore.
But yeah, Russo does just as much racism and Islamophobia and shite, and the same amount of modern wrestling is bad on his podcast. So you don't want to listen to Vinny Ru's podcast.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, isn't that most Americans?
That is like it's the Rover thing where like people, he's always like, why are you giving out to a wrestler for having mainstream US political values? And he's like, he's dead right.
Yeah, it's like, I guess, like, I suppose. But like, 80% of the people in that country. I mean, who am I to fucking talk? Look at mine.
That is like the ruling party of that country. So like, that is their mentality. So what can you say? They won. We lost. Fuck.
What do you mean, we?
I don't put myself in the same box as those people.
Yeah, what do you mean, we?
Oh no, I'm gonna get kicked out of Australia.
Let me tell you about my beliefs on my new podcast.
The night before Bound for Glory, Cornette caused the scene when he got riled up by fans talking about Russo and started verbally abusing Russo. Russo wasn't there, but he was loud, and people there said he made such a scene that they thought he was cussing out Russo and they'd have to break up a fight. After Bound for Glory, his doctor was mad at him for continuing to work and talk while sick. Cornette was mad at his performance on the show and because he lost his voice. Yeah, he didn't have his voice in that promo segment of Bound for Glory, probably because he was both sick.
He was fucking screaming into Russo in the parking lot with fans.
He was using like whatever voice he had left to fucking scream about Vince Russo at a fan fest. God damn that Vince Russo piece of shit! No, it's made it to the main show. Liam has been workshopping his Jim Cornette, and I think it's getting there.
It's getting there. It's gonna take time. It's the second time I've ever done it.
Like, we saw a whole evolution of Dixie where she started normal, got unhinged, and went back to somewhere in between. Mm-hmm. So who knows where Jim Cornette can go?
I feel like it's gonna always be the same. Because it's so accurate.
Kevin Nash has been telling friends he's eyeing Jim Cornette's role as figurehead commissioner. There is a feeling that Cornette won't last long unless Vince Russo doesn't last long.
It's a real war of attrition.
You know what the funny part is? They worked together for over 2 years.
Which is kind of fucking crazy.
And I don't think Cornette is out as part of like Russo shit. He's out as part of like Jarrett losing power shit.
Which is probably similar, to be fair.
Yeah, Cornette kind of goes in like 2009 when a lot of the Jarrett allies are being cleared out by Dixie when they had their falling out. So,
but like Russo was a Dixie guy, so
yeah, that makes sense. But like he wasn't cleared out because he couldn't get along with Russo. I'm sure there was countless fucking blow-ups in that 2 years, and I'm sure somebody had like 9 million headaches because they had to keep these two without killing each other. But you know what? It lasted 2 years.
It's kind of crazy to imagine that those two managed to like bottle it for a couple years.
That he at least managed to not physically assault him. He did abide by those terms.
To our knowledge.
Jeff Jarrett will be off TV for the next few months, but he will be backstage at Impact tapings and pay-per-views handling the management side of TNA operation. And Monty Brown is off the TNA website, but talks are not completely off between Brown and TNA.
I have a feeling they're going to bring it back.
Yeah? You didn't read the next news, though?
No, in my mind, I think TNA's really going to lock him down, you know? It's just a Garcia scenario. Everyone thinks he's jumping, but I think he'll get locked down.
Yeah, he was backstage at Raw, but that just made TNA realize they want him even more.
Yeah, that just means they'd, pedal to the metal.
WWE announced the signing of former TNA headliner Monty Brown.
I'm still holding out hope.
WWE.com featured an interview with Monty Brown following his signing in the company. Brown's lengthy run in TNA is never mentioned in the article.
I mean, what are they going to mention? He loses to this guy, loses to that guy, got beat up by it. I was like, what the fuck?
Brown said his 2 goals in life were to become a pro football player and to wrestle in WWE. Not become a pro wrestler, wrestle in WWE.
It's probably right.
Like when he was growing up and he had like the photo or the poster of somebody on his wall. He had a wrestler poster. Was it Sting?
I was going to say it has to be Warrior, right?
It feels like Warrior. He was probably thinking, I'm going to be a WWE wrestler. You are right. He probably saw like Lawrence Taylor and was like, by God, I can do both.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It's especially in that era. That's the era where everyone is like a WWE guy.
As opposed to now.
Well, like, at least now you got fucking Arez saying, TK, shit, I'll get off the pot. I want to go here instead of the other ways. There are people now that are like getting into the business who are like, have a distinct other view of what they want to do.
The article focuses on Brown's NFL career as his athletic background before coming to WWE. A quote from Monty from that article: coming to WWE is a definite blessing and a privilege to come work for the Mecca of all Meccas, which is a shot at real Mecca. I'm just anxious to start. I'm looking forward to getting in the mix and being part of the WWE family. So Monty is done.
And if you want to relive your time with Monty Brown, let me remind you, there's a wonderful video on the TNA Wrestling YouTube channel called Every Monty Brown Pounce in TNA History.
Which I did build using the show notes from this podcast. So you know what? Synergy.
So a watch of that video is a watch for us.
That's true. And a watch for Monty Brown.
I would do a remember when, but God, it's hard at this point, you know. It's fucking hard. Let's just talk about Monty Brown for a moment.
And I can't remember if we did it or not on the last episode where we would have at his last appearance. We might have.
Yeah. So Monty Brown, the quintessential pro wrestling what if, I imagine. Someone who, despite never quite hitting the levels that anyone would have hoped for him, has managed to worm his way into the pro wrestling zeitgeist in a way that is genuinely impressive.
Yeah.
There's a lot about Monty that is sort of... It is sad, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that you would have hoped would have been like a giant deal, or at the very least, if he was going to have his washout career at WWE, did sort of reach the levels that you would have hoped for him in TNA. Like you know, Chris Harris is sad, right? And it's like, damn, he didn't do anything in WWE. But like when you go back on it, like at least the AMW stuff is there, and it rules, and it's awesome, and it's successful. And it's like with Monty, you don't even really have that. Like, the quintessential Monty Brown thing is just, he is great at squash matches, he's a crazy promo guy, and he's, unfortunately, just a giant what if.
Yeah, you only ever saw the sparks of what Monty could be, rather than, like, the actual lighting of that fuse. And as you said, like, it is really impressive that, like, this is a guy who was on TV for 2 years, nearly 20 years ago, and he's still a guy people are like, fucking Monty Brown was awesome. Mm-hmm. There's very few people you can say, like, no one does that for fucking Mordecai, you know? Yeah. People might remember Mordecai, but they're not like, holy shit, well, remember Mordecai? It's like, oh, remember Mordecai? There's very few people who weren't top guys, who only had a handful of main events, most of which were just like jobber to the stars, a challenger of the month kind of things, and is remembered that fondly, and the people are that desperate for him to do one more appearance. Because like, he is my holy grail appearance. He is my AJ Lee. He is my CM Punk. Like Monty has been for a long time, and I don't need him to do anything other than come out, do one pounce, hit his pose, and leave. Do one promo as well, because listen, it wouldn't be the same without him calling somebody a hippofant. That's all I want. I don't need a run. I don't need him to come back. I don't need him to win a belt. I just want one more pounce for the road.
So hopefully we can make that happen.
Tony.
If there's one guy. But yeah, Monty Brown, we've talked about him a lot. It is sad to see him go, but at least we had him, you know? At least he was there.
And it was not for lack of trying on my part. It needs to be known. Anytime there was like a fucking 20-year anniversary show or an Impact 1000, I would be like, hey, Monty? What about Monty?
Monty? Give me. But so hopefully we will see it. It's at least now in the last sort of like 4 years where we hear from him a little bit, which is like better than the like absolute zeros, like anything before that.
Yeah, you could meet him at whatever the WrestleCon thing is called, the Starcade. There you go, Starcast. You could meet him around All In Weekend.
Yeah, so you know he's dipping his toe back in the wrestling world, and that's the least we can ask for. That's the most we can ask for.
Kurt Angle spoke to dozens of media entities over the past week while hyping TNA's debut in primetime. He was featured in 2 similar stories in 2 major Pittsburgh newspapers. Pittsburgh is his hometown. He was also a guest on many radio shows during the week, covering many of the same topics he did during his TNA media conference call. He said he had been drug tested since signing with TNA. He said AJ Styles is the greatest athlete in pro wrestling, but he lacks charisma. He said he's going to teach Styles that missing aspect. He said Joe is the most naturally gifted wrestler in wrestling, more gifted than I am. He raved about him wrestling like he weighs 205 pounds despite being 300 plus pounds. And now we have a whole ream of notes about the like various things Kurt Angle talked about and people having concerns, etc. from his various interviews.
Just strap in and just prepare for some peak Kurt Angle. Pun not intended.
Yeah, that is his new official name. He is Peak Angle. They named him that. Ugh. I do find it fun that like WWE announced the signing of Monty Brown. TNA is not mentioned whatsoever. Every time Kurt Angle opens his mouth about signing with TNA, he's like, let me tell you about Vince McMahon. Mm-hmm. While Kurt was diplomatic about Vince McMahon, saying he loves him and considers him a second father, despite having serious differences with him, he was less forgiving toward former colleagues Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Sorry, Hickenbottom and Levesque. to do our VKM impression, which we will talk about on this month's episode when we get to the broad topics. During an interview on the Ron and Fez radio show, he said he is better than Shawn Michaels. Quote from Kurt Angle: Shawn Michaels is entertaining, but as soon as he gets in the ring, the first thing he wants to do is start chopping. I hate chopping. I hate punches. I hate all that stuff. Why do you think they call it wrestling? Shawn's great, don't get me wrong, but he's more an entertainer. I look real. Shawn Michaels always has a smirk on his face. How can you take him seriously? Undertaker has a great look. When he gets in the ring, he looks like he's getting to wrestle a martial arts competition. Famously, that's what I think about when I see The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
He said the next time he sees Shawn, he expects him to confront him about his comments. He says Shawn Michaels will put up a fight but lose. He said Triple H will, quote, go in the corner and suck his thumb. He won't even try to fight me.
At least he's like, Shawn has a little chutzpah in him. He's just like, Triple H is a big bitch and won't do anything ever.
Yeah, Shawn will throw down and get his ass kicked. Triple H will just back away. According to Kurt, after Vince McMahon found out that Kurt had signed with TNA, he began lying. Kurt said that he wasn't released or fired. It was mutual, and he passed every drug test for painkillers in the last 18 months. Kurt began talking about the old times in WWE. Kurt mentioned how it was he and Steve Austin who did their creative during WWE's hot run. Kurt said they never had any writers. Kurt mentioned how Vince made Kurt turn down 26 movie offers while working for WWE. Kurt said that working for Vince made him feel like he was in a prison. Kurt said that he could have sued Vince McMahon over 1 million times, but never did.
Should have done that.
But no, he doesn't have any problems. It's like a father figure. Mm-hmm. Kurt brought up times he was severely injured in shows, and Vince still made Kurt go back out for a job. Kurt brought up when he asked Vince if he could go to rehab, but Vince said that he was an Olympic gold medalist and a tough son of a bitch and didn't need to go to rehab, especially because he was one of his top guys. Kurt later said that Vince isn't a bad guy. He just cares about business more than the guys.
He just cares about business more than ethics or morals or guys or people that work for him, his family, general understanding of human decency, pretty much anything that's positive in this damn world.
He's not a bad guy, Liam. He just wants to exploit their physical health for profit until they're run into the ground.
And then discard them and bury them, not to mention all of his other horrible sex crimes.
Jerry McDevitt, WWE legal counsel, just delivered a letter to this podcast, and he said, the WWE cares greatly about Kurt Angle, the person, and Kurt Angle, the performer. It is our hope that he applies that huge and creative heart of his in the right direction, so that we can all see that happen.
Okay. Heavy Shot was saying huge heart.
I was thinking the same thing.
That's such a little jab.
That's very much, that man's going to die of a heart attack any day now because of the bad health he's in, and I'm saying that in a coded way.
Don't look into the fact that he's doing it under our watch for the last 15 years.
Dixie Carter said,
oh, sorry, it's been a while. TNA has a strict drug policy and does not tolerate illegal drugs or substance abuse on any level.
Thank you, Dixie. That's definitely true.
I agree.
Because I've been looking at the Dixie Carter Congress interview or interview before the government around the time of the Benoit stuff.
Yep.
And we will get into TNA's drug testing policies in depth.
More in depth than their drug testing policies.
Definitely.
The drug testing policy of, did you take drugs? Nah. All right.
PW Torch received emails from people connected with 2 radio stations with whom Angle did interviews that week, stating they were concerned for his well-being. Colleagues of Angle say there is always concern about relapses when someone has admitted to being a drug addict in the past, especially when they're pushing themselves mentally and physically on the road. But note that he possibly has enough neurological damage from drugs and bumps over the years that he'll always sound a little out of it, especially early in the morning after 2 hard days of PR work. TNA publicist Stephen Godfrey tells PW Torch.
I thought that was what he said, and I was like, he's a terrible publicist.
Nobody cares about his health more than we do, is what he said. Not, he's always a little zoned out, it's fine.
I really thought that's what he said.
He says TNA continues to closely monitor Angle's health and made sure someone from TNA is with him at all times on publicity appearances. Last week it was Ross Foreman. So I'm of 2 minds about this kind of quote. Mm-hmm. I guess it's fine to be concerned about Kurt Angle's well-being, especially during a time where, like, he was perhaps fired due to his currently declining health. But also, like, the Kurt Angle's about to die watch just feels gross.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously PR.
Yeah. So, you think this is WWE PR?
Yeah, 100%. I think this is, like, WWE, like, being like, oh, look at this shit he's saying about us. We should make him seem like a crazy, insane person who's about to die at any moment and shouldn't be taken seriously.
Yeah, especially if you have like unverified, people who worked for radio stations he did interviews with.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like it's very clearly like them protecting their back or whatever.
Also, like, he is doing radio interviews. If he was zonked out of it, he's there on tape.
I was gonna say, you would probably be able to hear it.
Yeah. Angle sat gorilla position in recent TNA tapings. He was fully engaged in everything happening during the show. By contrast, Sting usually finds the TV and isolated himself backstage during events, only occasionally walking out to watch a match or socialize. That feels right, though.
You're just believing the character of Sting. You think he's up in the fucking rafters watching it on his little TV.
He is. He's up there with his bird and his scorpion, and they're on their little monitor, and they're having a nice time together. And you can buy a t-shirt at Link in the Rock.
That's what he's looking at. He's looking at the advertisement for the t-shirt.
Damn right. And he's like, damn, that's a great shirt. I wish I could have bought that. Oh, wait, I can. I can go buy that right now.
And I can subscribe to the Patreon to get less, to make sure I pay less for it?
Whoa, Sting likes a deal. But, like, it does feel more like Sting is the guy who you have to go to, and Kurt's the guy who will come to you, I think. I feel like, personality-wise, those are, like, how those men work. It
does seem like that. Well, it's probably, personality-wise, right? Sting just seems a little more reserved.
Yeah, he just doesn't feel like the guy who just gets in there with everybody, whereas Kurt, I think, kind of is.
Yeah.
After Angle has come across so positive about TNA, and nobody has heard Christian even for a moment question his move, there are a lot more people in WWE at least quietly discussing the possibilities of TNA that under other circumstances wouldn't consider it. It's very unique because for the first time that Dave can ever recall in the business, you see people leaving WWE on their own accord, like Christian, Jericho, Lita, Trish Stratus, and many others are talking about it. Dave knows that several are close. Dave knows that several close to the top guys who are close to the top guys is such a clumsy turn of phrase, Dave. Jesus, who are talking about their contracts are coming up. I should really copy edit Dave before I write this stuff into the notes.
Can I try?
Go on.
I know of several close to the top.
Yeah, it's such a clumsy phrase.
I know of several people close to the top guys who are talking about when their contracts are up, coming over to the easier schedule, not worrying about it being less money. That might be one of the worst written sentences I've ever heard in my damn life.
This man has written for a living for 40 years. That is an interesting thing that we like. That was always like the value proposal of TNA. That they're like,
and AEW.
It is a little bit AEW. You probably have to wrestle harder in AEW for it.
You know what it is? But you know what it is now? It's like an easier schedule, but more money as well.
Yeah.
But like WWE doesn't do house shows anymore, so the schedule thing is less of a debate, I think.
Yeah, you're working, unless you're on one of those European tours, those are still like the last bastion of like the old WWE schedule. You're working once or twice a week now when you're working for WWE.
Kind of crazy. Like,
yeah,
just growing up in an era where it was like the road.
Because I think I saw Kevin Owens talking about that recently, where he's like, it's nice to be home with my family, but also like I'm kind of home with my family all the time anyway, even when I'm working, because we don't do house shows anymore.
Yeah, it's, like the whole thing. It's funny with the Triple H run from the grind thing. It's like, what grind? It's the same fucking grind.
If anything, AEW probably runs, because they run twice a week and they don't have split rosters. Well, they kind of have loosely split rosters, I guess.
But also,
there are
like
people.
They work harder, so it's like. Like the grind is AEW, I hate to say.
Yeah, because like FTR got like in their feelings rightfully about that recently. Where like we worked Dynamite and Collision most weeks for like 3 years. We're like the hardest working guys in wrestling, and also do occasional indie shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was like the value proposition of TNA, where they were like, less money, but also substantially less dates. It's like 2 to 4 dates a month. So you'll make like 300, 400 grand for that much, as opposed to making 700, 800 grand for losing 2/3, 3/4 of your month to work. So you will see Booker T, for example, I think is probably a great example of somebody who's like, that seems much easier. Let's go do that for a while. Brother Runt wrote a column for TNA's website about being unique with his look and not having someone tell him what to wear. He said no one in TNA told him how to dress, and it was up to him to come up with a look that he feels comfortable in. Runt wrote, having professional freedom is very rare in the wrestling business, and I can honestly say TNA is a welcome breath of fresh air. When I go to work, I'm worried about wrestling and wrestling alone. It's the first time in a long time that I can say that. He also said said that that when he came to TNA, he was expecting to be told what to do, implying that WWE gave him a look and told him to make it work. Runt wrote, "After several matches, I realized no one was going to tell me anything. This isn't a negative. A great promotion always allows the wrestlers to create their own style. When I walk the aisle in TNA, I'm not in a costume or a gimmick. It's the real me."
It's funny because he's always had such a negative public perception about TNA since his run.
It's also funny because he's basically done.
Yeah. He's like, I love it here. It's going great.
I'm not sure, he does, I think maybe 1 or 2 more appearances before he is basically done. So it's very funny to, this column in October, November 2006, he's on the website, writing for the website, being like, it's so great here. Everyone's so nice to me and they let me do what I want. What's that? I only worked, twice more? Oh. TNA is considering Bob Sapp now, and Sapp has started considering TNA as well.
That's crazy.
Although no formal offer has been made. Everyone knows it's far from a sure thing, but it's worth at least a short-term experiment. Dave would be skeptical, but he'd also try because TNA is in a position where they need to spice things up.
I would like it a lot. I would like if Bob Sapp was just doing his Bob Sapp shit, you know?
And there was talk that there was some of it wasn't Pride, but there was one of the rest of the MMA organizations that was potentially throwing out feelers to TNA about maybe doing something with Angle, and I think the idea might have been a kind of wrestling MMA crossover angle between Sapp and Angle where they do both, which would have been crazy to get a wrestling match and an MMA fight between Bob Sapp and Kurt Angle.
It's very hard to justify in pro wrestling kayfabe to be these things look very different.
You'd have to do the fight second, I think.
Yeah.
If you were to say we're going to do a fight and we're going to do a wrestling match, I think you would have to do the match first. You would probably establish a babyface heel dynamic. You would have the heel go over and the babyface then tries to get revenge in the fight, right?
Something like that.
I think that's the way you could try and walk that line, but also it would be real weird. But now I'm going to fight you for real, and that's where I'll get my revenge.
It's just a very silly thing, right?
I guess it's never been done. No matter because you've had crossovers, you've had people who have done both, but they've never done both. Well, but Lashley had done both at the same time, but they were very separate universes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting to imagine how that would work and how it would be perceived. Dave's friends would fucking hate it.
Dave's friends would hate it. He would go on a 4-paragraph rant in The Observer about it. I guess the only other people you could potentially do it with is probably Kane and Brock.
Yeah.
Or those would make some sense. I guess you could probably try something with Ken Shamrock and somebody. And it was Tito and Rampage. I guess that would have been the idea, right?
That was probably the plan, right?
That they were going to do wrestling stuff.
AEW was halfway there with Wardlow and Hager. They should have just given them a Bellator fight as well.
Yeah. TNA is looking at running several pay-per-views in 2007 out of Orlando, with the goal being to create some distinct identities for its monthly events. They are looking at cities in the Midwest, including Chicago, the Canada-US border, the old WCW stronghold cities in the Southeast, and Texas as potential pay-per-view sites. We get 3 in 2007, I want to say, off the top of my head. Lockdown, Slam, and Bound for Glory are all outside Orlando.
Isn't Bound for Glory amazing looking?
Well, that's always the thing with TNA crowds, in that they always made 3,000 people look like at least 8.
Very good at framing their shows.
Yeah, it was always even the UK shows, which had 6,000 people at them. They looked like 12. Whatever TNA were doing to shoot that shit, it always looked better than it was. PW Torch reader Chad Tower sent the following notes from Jake Roberts' infamous appearance at the Impact taping the month prior, heading into Bound for Glory. An uncut version would just show that it was a terrible decision to bring Roberts in. He got a giant pop because no one saw him coming, followed by a very awkward silence as he stammered through a 10-minute promo where he had to keep stopping to breathe, actually laid down in the ring twice, put the snake in Spike's pants, Brother Runt, made no sense, and then had to have somebody else bag the snake and bring it back up the ramp.
It sounds like it went wonderfully.
They brought him back this month. He was at TV tapings, but they didn't use him. They saw all this, and they brought him back at least once to be apparently they're going to do something with him, Mitchell, and Abyss.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's great in theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's great in theory, that combination. It just, it's way too far gone.
Yeah, which is a shame, because he could have been a really cool part of any wrestling company. It's also I don't know, his AEW run's been so weird.
I mean, I'm happy he's getting paid.
Yeah, good for him, but It seems at times like, remember when he bought LFI?
Yeah. I mean, they clearly try things, and then, like, I'm sure there's a lot of real life stuff that just gets in the way. He's just too old and had too hard of a life to really be a reliable TV presence in any way in 2025.
Yeah. But it's a shame we couldn't have that little, Jake Roberts kind of redemption run.
I think we did. It was with Archer.
Yeah. I guess he was around regularly enough.
Yeah. He was around for, like, a year and a half, like, with Archer all the time. Like, I just think that was it, you know? And I think that was fine, especially that initial, like, Cody feud.
TNA fans who showed up for the November 11th house show in Connecticut were turned away and told that the show was cancelled.
That's crazy.
TNA released an official statement on their website late Saturday night regarding the cancellation of the TNA UWF house show in Connecticut scheduled for Saturday night. That's the Hermley Sadler company. The original venue in East Hartford, Connecticut holds fewer than 1,000 people. It's a roller hockey rink used for minor roller hockey and dodgeball. You have venues for minor roller hockey and dodgeball? America's crazy. In Cork, where I come from, we don't even have like a 5,000 seat venue. But you're like, oh yeah, our roller hockey venue and our dodgeball venue, of course, and our 70,000 seat college football venue. It all makes perfect sense. Late Friday night, TNA announced a change in venue on its website. The official reason was due to overwhelming demand for tickets. They had to move to a larger venue. TNA moved the event a few miles down the road to a tennis facility in Bloomfield, Connecticut. Prior to the event, police and local officials appeared at the venue, a second venue, to inform the promoters that the show had to be cancelled. TNA says police and local officials arrived without prior notification and informed TNA representatives of the decision to not allow the show to take place. TNA also says they were puzzled by some of the reasons given by local officials for cancelling the show. Cameras were on hand to film the incident, which TNA is promising to have video of on their website to explain the situation. The show was a co-production of Hermie Sadler's UWF promotion and TNA. The UWF website has a crawler message on the website stating, "Due to circumstances beyond our control, Bloomfield's show has been cancelled. Please check the site for more information and refunds." Sadler said he received a phone call on Thursday that was a potential problem with the Face-Off Arena in East Danbury. He said the venue was approved months in advance for 1,018 seats, but the building inspector suddenly said the building could only seat 398. The decision was then made to move the event to Bloomfield Tennis Academy in Bloomfield. Sadler said that on Saturday he was informed a few hours before the scheduled start time that the police were not going to allow the show due to several reasons. He said the police were tipped off to come to the building by an anonymous call. Sadler said they considered moving the show 70 miles away to Danbury, but there would be too many headaches moving an entire wrestling operation that distance and on short notice. He then decided to call off the show Saturday afternoon after talking to the local police. "I honestly have no idea why local authorities from two separate towns showed so much interest in our events at such short notice."
A little suspicious.
So the state of Connecticut, Liam.
Yeah.
Famously, what's headquartered there?
Ooh, I'm sure there's a lot of things, but one thing comes to mind, the World Wrestling Entertainment.
And where's Vince McMahon from?
I believe that it's Connecticut, so.
So it's interesting that two separate police authorities suddenly started showing interest in this TNA wrestling event in Connecticut.
It is very funny to think of the idea of, like, Vince McMahon being like,
Hello, I have an anonymous tip for the police. I think that they have to go to the damn building and find something.
They're breaking fire code.
They're breaking fire code. They're doing illegal activities.
I'm Alex Jones.
They're doing illegal activities.
Close enough, really. In his blog on jrsbarbecue.com, Jim Ross addressed the TNA house show cancellation in Connecticut. He wrote, "I would virtually guarantee you no upper-level executive at the WWE was even aware of the event, especially the chairman. To assume the WWE had anything to do with this matter is Oliver Stone conspiracy theory stuff. It does make for good gossip, and it got us talking." They definitely did it. They fucking did it.
It's like, even if it, did Vince call him up in my perfect reenactment? No. But, like, did he just say some fucking PA, like, go drop a line, Like, it takes 2 seconds. And it takes very minimal effort to fuck with, like, a TNA show at, like, that level,
Yeah, especially the second show. The first show being like, there was miscommunication about the number of people that could be there. We can't actually fit 1,000 people in this 400-seat building. Sorry. Fine. But, like, how would the police have found out about the second show that fast? It had to be somebody from fucking WWE being like, hey, that's not right. They don't have permits.
I mean, it's the classic rival wrestling promoter move, right? Call the fire inspectors, get it shut down.
When TNA's website blamed local authorities on shutting the show down, Bloomfield Police Captain Jeffrey Blatter said TNA's attempting to manipulate their fan base into believing the Bloomfield Police Department or other town officials was responsible for cancelling their event Saturday is misleading and disingenuous. They said that TNA failed to notify the city of its plans to hold an event, that's because it was changed the day of the show, nor applied for the proper permits. Allowing an event to go forward in violation of known public safety hazards is a breach of our responsibility to the citizens of Bloomfield and those who visit our community. The Rhode Island Nightclub Club tragedy is a sobering example of what can happen if this responsibility is not met. I like them citing, like, I don't know that example personally. I assume it's some kind of like overcrowding nightclub incident, but like this is the worst that could happen.
Like, I don't know, bro. Shit's crazy. Like, I'm sure there's never been a pro wrestling event that has gone awry. You know, like there's never been a pro wrestling event that's been set up in a day that like has not been shut down. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's the idea that that this was like top priority of the Bloomfield. The top priority of the Bloomfield police was to shut down this wrestling show that was going to have like 1,000 people there. It's crazy.
The Bloomfield police said they only knew about the show when police from East Hartford called them and said that they saw on the TNA website that the event was being moved to Bloomfield. Why is that? I don't know. Interesting.
It's so fucking stupid.
Blatter did praise TNA, saying their supervisor was impressed with the professionalism and cooperation he received from the wrestlers and the staff, particularly all the wrestlers agreeing to stay and sign autographs after the event was cancelled. He denied Vince McMahon had anything to do with it, saying the supervisors didn't even know who Vince McMahon was. TNA filmed unhappy fans coming to the arenas who chanted "fuck Vince McMahon" loudly, as WWE was made scapegoat for this, whether they had anything to do with it or not.
Okay, sure.
This is one of those stories that gets lost to wrestling history. That's just one of those like weird things. It's like TNA randomly has a house show cancelled in Connecticut. Did WWE tip off the police? That's one of those stories like no one talks about, no one remembers that shit, but it's a fun little story. And I think that they did it. They absolutely did it.
I mean, it's pretty like if you were to write this happening, it is exactly how it happened.
Vince, we've never heard of Vince. Now, Vince's secretary, that name I do recognize, actually. Funny how that works.
They actually called us quite recently.
Moderately disappointing at that the low end of acceptable, but still a strong rating for Spike TV. TNA is Impact
shut the fuck up about anything that just happened.
Yeah.
Moderately disappointing and at the low end of acceptable, but still a strong rating.
Yep.
Like, fuck off.
TNA's Impact Primetime Special a 1.0 rating, 1.04 to be precise. That kind of framing, because Dave mentions in The Observer, company officials are expecting a 1.0 to 1.1 range for the special. They did a 1.0. They did what they expected to do, and then the PW Torch framing is like, moderately disappointing, and at the low end of acceptable, but still a strong rating for Spike TV.
Like, it's just, I don't know, the framing of that to be like a pretty shit, like, fine, great rating.
Yeah.
You know, like, fuck, you can't use every end of the spectrum to describe it.
Mm-hmm. The show opened with a 0.92 quarter and grew every quarter during the first hour to a 1.06 for Christian versus Rhino. The show peaked at the end of Kurt Angle Abyss with a 1.11. We won't do ratings. We'll talk a lot. It's just because this is the primetime special. But yeah, that framing, I was just like, fuck off. Like it's
fucking pathetic. And like, it's such terrible way to frame it.
Sting does an interview with IGN where he simply says, TNA ratings are growing and we're moving to primetime. A perfectly harmless little PR statement. Sting's out there being like, look, we're doing good. We're moving to a better time slot. And there is a whole page of the frickin' PW Torch newsletter about how actually the ratings aren't growing like Sting said they were. I'm like, what the fuck are you grown men doing? What are you doing? Fuck off.
It's crazy stupid.
Impact outdrew TNT Chicago Bulls versus Houston Rockets broadcast among men 18 to 49 and outrated the Sacramento Kings versus the Golden State Warriors.
The demo.
Among both men 18 to 49 and men 18 to 34. Imagine if fucking wrestling beat basketball on cable right now in the demo. Imagine the fucking hoops people would be jumping through to celebrate.
Yeah.
Impact averaged 1.2 million viewers. So, pretty good. Fucking
Pretty
stupid.
good. Sorry, you mean very bad, pretty good, terrible.
Above average. So Genesis, which is, I think, turns out to be one of the best pay-per-views in TNA history. I think it's up there with Lockdown 2008 as one of the most bought pay-per-views in TNA history. I know that, like, there's speculate both the Torch and the Observer are like, we're pretty sure this is going to break the record. A fun note, the 12 million plus subscribers to EchoStar's Dish network, less than 20% of the total pay-per-view market, but still 12 million people, were blocked from ordering TNA Genesis live on Sunday night. Why isn't known, but as TNA spokesman tells PW Torch that it was due to a scheduling mistake and miscommunication, they are offering replays beginning Wednesday. So they broke their pay-per-view record, even with 12 million customers not available. So probably, like, that's at least a couple thousand more buys you would have thought out of that group.
EchoStar's Dish Network's CEO did receive a call from an anonymous source in Connecticut that told them they mustn't air this pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's a mistake. That pay-per-view's not on that night. Why do you have it in the schedule like that? Take it off. Take it off. TNA currently has around 25 full-time office employees who work out of Nashville, Tennessee, along with 4 to 5 full-time production staffers who work in a nearby productions facility. Terry Taylor recently relocated from Atlanta to Nashville to work full-time in the office.
Shoutouts to the 4 to 5 full-time production staffers.
Yeah, working hard to churn out Impact. It is, I think it's fun, like, it's interesting to just have a picture in your head of, like, what TNA as a corporate entity looks like, at least at this period, like, at the end of 2006, that there is about 25 people working on this shit full-time, plus some production staff, not counting, like, wrestlers and hired hands brought in for, like, TV tapings and all that stuff and extras.
It's a real damn company.
There is more undercard unhappiness than any time I can recall, says Dave in the Wrestling
There's fucking
Observer.
undercard unhappiness in every promotion, every hour of every fucking day. This is a non-story. It's nothing.
I am stunned that the people who aren't being pushed are being pissy about not being pushed.
Oh, here's my follow-up article. Main eventers and pushed acts are having a great time in TNA.
The one thing I will say about this is I do think there has never been more of a hierarchy between stars and non-stars in this company.
I don't even know if I agree with that.
But like, if you think about, like, Kurt, Christian, Sting, Joe level guys,
I feel like it's been like that for fucking 3 years.
I guess it's just been the one guy, and it's just been Jarrett.
Yeah, like this isn't new. Like,
Yeah.
TNA, for like everything that's like pretty good about it, is there is always a staunch separation between stars, people who are big stars in other companies, and TNA stars. Like, it's just no. Like, this is what this company has been with. I will not accept this.
It is kind of bred into, like, even going back to, like, oh, when we're getting on FSN, it's not all about AMW, it's not all about AJ. It's like, we got to get Nash, we got to get Hall, we got to get DDP in here.
This is the ethos of the company.
But yeah, they're pissy. Because there are, there's a lot of undercard acts that are going to be let go or have already been let go. The last note we'll touch on in a moment covers that. But, like, Diamonds in the Rough, and you can be like, oh, they're undercard nerds. Who cares if they're like, oh, sure. Some of which I would agree. But, like, Diamonds in the Rough, some of the Team Canada guys, like the Naturals, a lot of those, like...
Spike.
So, yeah, Brother Runt not hanging around. So, like, a lot of those, like, both old, like, legacy undercard guys who haven't quite gotten over yet, and then a couple of the other midcard guys are, like, on their way out. So there is, like, a bit of a reshuffle in the midcard as well coming. Speaking of, because he hasn't been used, they were taking up a collection backstage for everyone to chip in maybe $10 to fly A1 in for the next taping so he can see everyone.
You know, like, hey, that sucks for A1. But also, like, it must be nice to know that you're that well liked by the people you work with.
That is, like, sweet and heartbreaking in exactly equal measure.
It's like, oh, they like you that much, so they want you to be there, like, that badly.
They're going to chip in, fly in for a day so you can meet and have fun with all your friends one more time before you are never seen again until June 2023. July 2023? July 2023.
I think at that point, like, enough people could be like, fucking Russo, bring A1 in for, like, one final taping, let him get paid before you fuck him off.
Or just, like, if you have anybody that you want a big, strong man to stand behind, he's a good guy to do that. He's big. He looks impressive. Just don't ever wrestle. He's actually not that bad a wrestler. He's a perfectly functional wrestler. In like the history of pro wrestling big men who are just there as heaters, he's not the worst. He's better than like a Mason Ryan. And that is the news.
The news is it's not a slow news period, but like it's more like an anticipation, you know? I guess it's just the Kurt vibe at the end of the day. But there's just like this simmering idea of what this company's going to end up being.
Yeah, because like there's in that long diatribe about his friends not liking the product, there is like Dave being like, what the fuck is TNA? What should they be? Who knows? And like, yeah, the news this month is very, there's not actually a lot of like hard things happening. It's a lot of people like just having thoughts on what happens to happen, and also WWE trying to cancel a house show.
But, you know, not competition.
No, they would never do that. They only focus on themselves. Their competition is Netflix and all the streaming services and music. That's the real competition.
Yeah.
Before we get into broad topics, I did want to mention that we are coming toward the end of our Lucha Underground Patreon show.
Are we?
We have maybe 2 or 3 episodes of it left before we finish season 1 anyway. So I was going to throw it out to our wonderful fans, our brilliant audience, that if they have any suggestions for because we're probably not going to go straight into season 2, we might do something else and circle back to season 2. So if there is anything you would like us to do for a Patreon show, the general theme of our Patreon stuff has been like weird one-off wrestling seasons or wrestling shows that kind of stood by themselves.
Stuff that is like condensed to a specific period of time.
Yeah, so not like WWE main event, but like Lucha Underground is this thing that existed for 4 years and then went away, or Ring Cat King we've done, or Wrestling Society X we've done. We have done a year of PWG as well. So if there is anything that you're like, hey, this is the thing I would really like everybody to cover, these two specifically, to cover on Patreon. This is this weird kind of wrestling show. This is the thing I've always wanted people to talk about. Hit us up on Twitter, on Discord, wherever you can find us. Give us your suggestions for where we should go next on Patreon. And as we're rattling toward the end of a really good season 1 of Lucha Underground.
I'm sure it'll keep this quality forever.
Yes, Lucha Underground will never decline. It will always be...
Famously, it's still running.
The best, most interesting wrestling show I've ever watched.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to broad topics, starting with the dream match of the decade, Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe. I said the words to you at one point, dream match of the decade, you like ruffled your nose and you made a face. So, having watched the match, how do you feel about the moniker for Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, dream match of the decade?
I don't think it's the dream match of the decade. Furthermore, I don't think it's the dream match of that year or the dream match involving Samoa Joe in this time period. But I still think it carries that weight well. And I think that it is, like, it's not that it doesn't deserve that name. Like, it's fine for it to have that name.
Yeah, and if Angle Joe sat in the Angle Danielson tier of never happened, there would be people like, holy shit, what if Angle Joe happened?
Yeah, I think it's just because, I don't know, we live in a world where it's happened multiple times, that maybe it's lost a little, like, the thing with like a Joe Kobashi is like, you know, it happened the once, we got it the one time, so maybe that adds to its mystique a bit, but like, I don't know, I think that, I did sort of like, you know, go, when I heard that, but I do think that after seeing the like totality of this month, like, they got it to feel a certain type of way, and I appreciate that. And the match itself did deliver, so I appreciate that too.
So on the October 26th Impact, after they brawled at Bound for Glory, after they brawled on the Impact Go Home show for Bound for Glory, they do officially announce at the very start of that episode that at Genesis we will be getting the match between Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. Later in that show, JB says Angle will speak later tonight before Samoa Joe appears behind him. Joe says he and Kurt have already gotten to know each other and he's going to see Angle up close and personal tonight.
Which is... But like the thing about like the Joe and Angle thing is like they really didn't do a ton this month. They kind of... It was as simple of a build as one could get.
Like you could argue that they could have not been on TV this month and they've already done the build.
Yeah. Like it was mostly just like kind of shot like... Like, you remember when, like, the original Double or Nothing was happening?
Yeah.
And because, like, they didn't have TV, like, the Cody Dustin match just kind of, like, lived through internet videos that they released. Like, sort of, like, to camera interviews and like a couple of vignettes and like a couple of like music, like hype videos, you know? They kept it very simple and like out of necessity. But I feel like this had like a similar vibe. And maybe that was because Kurt wasn't doing every TV at this point. But like, I don't know, I think it suited it. It made it feel kind of like a UFC sort of build.
Yeah, because like there's 4 episodes this month. Kurt and Joe have an interaction on the first one and the last one, and then the middle 2 are just video packages hyping it up. So like it is pretty scaled back. It is pretty like just a straightforward, no nonsense pro wrestling build between these 2 big badass wrestlers.
Do you think it was because they were still sort of testing the waters on like how prevalent Kurt was going to be? Like they were seeing where he was at because of all of the like bullshit that was being talked about?
I think there's part of maybe they wanted to just keep him feeling special on the show. And I think another part is probably story-wise, anytime those 2 are in the same room, they have to fight at this point. Like that's just the way those 2 are. So it is probably for the best that you don't overdo that. Like they do a third pull apart basically on this show after doing 1 at Bound for Glory and doing 1 on the Go Home show for Bound for Glory. So could you do another pull apart afterwards? I think it was more like we've told the story. It's like badass. They want to kill each other. That we don't need more than that.
That makes sense too. Yeah, I know there was a curious for a company that storytelling technique is go to sort of pump the brakes and just let it soar through the month was an interesting choice.
Because you would think the instinct would be, we have Kurt Angle, let's put him all over these television episodes immediately. It's just, this is going to be the Kurt Angle show. And that's not the case. It's like Kurt is a wrestler on the show as much as AJ Styles is this month.
Yeah, which is why I sort of thought maybe they were still sort of sussing out where he was at.
The end of that first Impact of the month, we get a feature on Angle and Joe's brawl at Bound for Glory. Then Kurt comes to the ring. He says a lot of people ask him why he left WWE. That's the first thing he talks about in this first official like in-ring pro. I guess he kind of did want to Bound for Glory, but this is his first time in the ring talking on Impact. And he's like, so I left WWE, and people keep asking me about it.
Well, I you know, that is TNA tradition. You have to have your like first real promo be about why you left the other place.
They do have to sit in the canon of D'Lo Brown.
Exactly. They have to respect the law.
They're asking, was he fired? Asking, was it a mutual release? Did he quit? He says he quit.
You're damn right I quit.
You can't fire me, I quit. He wanted to wrestle for the best wrestling audience in the world right here in the Impact Zone. He then starts a TNA chant. There's no other company that has the talent TNA has, and he wants to kick all their asses. When you're the best in TNA, you're the best in the world. And then he addresses Joe as the crowd chant, Joe's gonna kill you. Angle says he's terrified of Samoa Joe, but he loves fear. When he's afraid, he wrestles the best and breaks ankles. He didn't know Joe was a bleeder. He loves bleeders. Joe comes out, and they're immediately separated by security as we redo the pull apart. The locker room separate them. They get loose one more time as the show ends. It's the Angle Joe segment. I do love Angle just being like, I'm scared of Samoa Joe. I appreciate him like willing to say something like that.
Yeah, I like this Angle. It's very fun. I think Angle early on wants to be a team player, or at least have that vibe of a team player, because like he doesn't come in like big league, you know. He's very much like, I'm gonna put everyone over right now in this promo. Like, I'm gonna put over the talent, I'm gonna put over the show. This place is cool, it's interesting, there's a bunch of young talent that I want to wrestle. So it's a very sort of giving way to introduce yourself instead of like, I'm gonna go here and tear through everyone, you know.
We were watching DP Dub last night, and there was a backstage Eric Stevens promo that was like very much the same thing. It's like, oh, you know, I look at DP Dub and I see loads of great talent, and I'm really excited by all these young guys. And it's like, it's kind of fun that is the template when you're like the established veteran coming to a place, that you put over the young guys, you establish that you want to work with them, and then like you start doing your angles and you start calling them dog shit, and rubbish and terrible wrestlers, and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. But like you do come in there and you put over the territory first. Yeah, because you know, it's that old like adage of, if you tell everyone they're shit and they ain't worth shit, when you beat them, you beat shit. I also like that in the pull apart with like the roster coming out, like 2 of them with the naturals. Yeah. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Don't get put in this. Yeah, you're not like Sanjay and David Young and whoever else they would send out for this kind of segment.
Like, come on, guys, you just did a big angle and like you got a new look and don't and like also your heels. So like, I don't feel like you would care if these two wanted to kill each other.
Yeah, I feel like if like Terry Taylor or TNA official walked up to you backstage and like go out there and break that up, the Naturals would be like, no.
Yeah, exactly. And they should have.
Yeah, that actually should have been an angle. Like they should have cut backstage to somebody being like, hey, get out here. We need to break this shit up. And someone like the people that should say no should say no.
It's like they go to like the X Division, everyone's running out, and like Sabin's like, fuck off.
Me getting between them. No.
I like pull apart angles. I think my favorite pull apart trope is like during the pull apart, someone else gets pissed off and lays out one of the guys. Like I think there was like, was it the Orton Cena thing where like Danielson started laying people out?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that just lives in my head, you know? I really love that, like, yeah, you guys have a thing, but like, I'm not fucking subservient to you, you know? Like, I'm on your level and I will take either of you out if I have to.
And we had a fun play on that recently with like FTR and Adam Priest. It was a similar thing, that like in a pull apart, and they spun off into their own angle because of it.
Yeah, I like that stuff. I like layers to feuds and stories.
Yeah, that these guys are just not faceless nerds there to be like just pulling these people apart, that they're actually characters in their own right. And if Kurt Angle hits Sanjay Dutt, Sanjay's going to be a little pissed about it.
Yeah. Could have done the Naturals, to be honest, and then had like the Naturals like attack Kurt, and then like you could do something with Kurt running through the Naturals.
That's his first match.
And it would make more sense than the actual one.
We'll get to it. November 2nd, Impact. The only thing we have on the show is at the end of the show, we end on an Angle Joe training montage as we show them working out intensely ahead of their match at Genesis.
Very like UFC. When I was watching this, I was just like, Joe is so cool.
Yeah.
Just seeing like Joe doing kickboxing and he looks giant and he's just like sweating like it just looks like a fucking monster.
He is built for this kind of pro wrestling build, isn't he?
He looks like, yeah, when you would see footage of them hyping up like a heavyweight fight in the UFC and you're like, this fucking beast of a man.
Yeah.
It would be nice if like this company was that all the time.
Because like this is the same kind of build they do for the Lockdown 2008 match. They just go back to like, because there was a big talking point at this point in wrestling history. I think we've talked about it before, where it's like, what can wrestling learn from the UFC? Because this is the beginning of the point at which UFC begins to like ramp up in popularity, and wrestling is slowly ramping down in popularity. So like the big thing is like, what can wrestling take from UFC? And it is this shit. It is like serious, treating matches as if they're sporting endeavors between people who want to beat the shit out of each other. That's all they had to take.
Yeah, it's a good element to take. Like, it feels like you're watching, like, to go to, like, that cross, like, something from Battle Arts or Pancrase or, like, you know, just, it feels authentic.
Yeah. The November 9th Impact, we get another feature, this time with a bunch of sound bites as they talk about how they're excited to kill each other. Angle made Joe bleed. Now Joe wants to carry Angle's blood as a trophy. Angle guarantees match of the year. Joe guarantees crushing him.
I like that. Angle's like, we're going to have a really good match. And Joe's like, I will kill him. I will end his life. I will remove his soul from his body.
Yeah, I do like that as a fun contrast. It kind of makes sense based on how their first confrontation played out, where Angle got the better of it. So he's like, oh, you know, let's have a good match. Whereas Joe's like, I want revenge for him making me bleed. I want to kill him.
Well, like, the thing is, like, Angle's whole demeanor with this, like, feud isn't, I have a personal vendetta against Samoa Joe. It is, I want to fight the best and have the best match.
Yeah. And Joe was like, you are coming into my territory. I'm going to fucking kill you.
And you're treating this like we're going to have a good match. And that pisses me off because I wanted the war.
The Go Home Show, which is the 2-hour primetime episode of Impact. Impact is primetime on Thursdays going forward. Not 2 hours yet, but this is a 2-hour special. We get a package and Angle Joe. Then Samoa Joe does his traditional squash of Jay Lethal. I think it's his third time doing it at this point.
They're like, we have the primetime special. We must throw out all the tropes.
Our favorite classic matches. In classic Joe Lethal fashion, Lethal does get a little bit of hope that he probably wouldn't get if Samoa Joe was wrestling Chase Stevens. But Joe shuts him down quick, wins with the Muscle Buster Coquina Clutch. Joe keeps the hold on after a match, and then there's some exhibition business that we'll talk about when we're talking about Chris Sabin. But Joe says he wants Angle's blood after the match.
You got blood fetishes in the TNA.
Listen, the man famously walked around with a freaking rusty-ass blood-stained towel for like 6 weeks, long after that blood had dried and coagulated and looked really gross. So if anybody does have a blood fetish, it is Samoa Joe.
Blood for the blood god.
Later in that episode, we have Kurt Angle in his first TNA match. The first TNA match is not against Samoa Joe in the Dream Match of the Decade. He wrestles for the first time on the Primetime special, presumably to try and boost the television rating for the first Primetime Thursday episode on Spike. He wrestles the winner of the Fight for the Right tournament, which we'll talk about in a moment, the monster, Abyss.
Okay, I have so many problems with this match on paper. Abyss is about to challenge for the world title. Spoilers, he's about to win it in some bullshit. So it's like, I understand doing this match and putting it on the primetime special. It's a big match. There's so many ways out of this, and they've just booked themselves in a corner where it's like the number one contender has to lose to Kurt, and then that makes the Abyss Sting match look like shit. It makes Abyss look like shit going into it. And I on one hand, I'm like, hey, they did a clean finish. That kind of shows balls. But on the other hand, I'm like, we're just completely fucking Abyss heading into this. Like, especially when we have two guys that they're wrestling at the pay-per-view, which have no qualm about interrupting a match. I'm just like, why didn't Joe get involved? Why didn't Sting get involved? Why didn't we throw this out? Why did we have to tap Abyss out?
It does seem wholly unnecessary, especially as we'll get into it when we're talking about it. But they're trying to do this story this month about how the kind of One Ring-esque nature of the world title is corrupting Sting, and that could easily be played into here if he like lost his mind and ruined the main event. And they're like, "What the hell, Sting?"
Yeah, like it would have been perfect for the story that they want to tell with Sting, a story that otherwise barely has any progression until like the payoff. It's like, it would have been a great little tease to Sting's character heading into the pay-per-view. It would have protected Abyss. I don't know. It feels wholly unnecessary to like just have this be a match with a finish, which just feels weird to argue against, but like it doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, like the big problem is we were talking about on the watch along is if you were to look up and down the TNA roster at this point and say who is the perfect first opponent for Kurt Angle, the answer is probably Abyss.
Jay Stevens. Oh yeah.
If you want a good match that people might be interested in watching, the answer is probably Abyss. Because like he's an upper mid-card heel who has credibility, but you can always just have him lose. The only problem being he's number one contender for the NWA World title.
I feel like there was other options. Like Bobby Roode couldn't have had this spot.
That's true.
Like, I don't know. Like Chris Sabin, you know, there's like people he could have just gone in like and killed.
Those people are lower on, like, I'm trying to think of, like, upper mid-card. Like, you could have done Rhino, I guess.
No, he was busy.
It's babyface. Oh, he's on this show. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the cage match is on this show. So, yeah, I was thinking, like, oh, he's done with Christian. It's like, no, he's done with Christian after the match on this show. So it couldn't be Rhino.
You could have, I mean, they had Daniels winning it. So it's like,
yeah,
couldn't have had Daniels. I don't know. I think Bobby Roode is right there.
Yeah, Rude is probably the guy, but even then, like, Rude is doing this new character thing that has barely been on television. I guess he's in the Fight for the Right this month, but it's not like the character's gathering steam at the moment. So maybe they would have thought he was too low down for like a marquee match.
But I think it would have been good for him and good for the character if he's like the first guy to go toe to toe with Kurt.
Or just do AJ. Just fucking do AJ.
Yeah, it's not like he has something super important at the pay-per-view.
No. But yeah, they just had Abyss lose heading into his NWA World title match against Sting, in which, as you said, he won, quotation marks.
Well, again, to go back to this match, like, not only does, like, Abyss get tapped out, like, Kurt kicks out of the Black Hole Slam for the first time, and, like, it was even booked in a way that made Abyss, like, less impressive.
Yeah, and as you said, he tapped out, which I don't think Abyss has done.
They made the point of saying that it wasn't, so.
And they could have had him pass out. They could have just had him beaten with the angle slam.
They could have had Mitchell throw like a towel in to protect Abyss ahead of his title match.
Yeah, but having Abyss just tap out, it's like, it is one of those things. It's like, why would you do? It's such a self-inflicted wound on Abyss for no reason whatsoever.
And especially, again, like, you have Sting right there to do some bullshit.
Or you could do it with Joe. Joe could just come down and they brawl. It's not hard. And this is fucking Vince Russo. It's not like this is protected, clean finish company. You know, this is the company that always does the clean finishes, so they have to deliver a clean finish here. Like, it's Vince Russo. You could do some bullshit. They do some bullshit after the match.
They do some bullshit all the fucking time.
The match itself, though, is very good. The crowd are into Angle to a degree that it feels special.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is the most heated you'll see the Impact Zone, you know? Like, they are alive and electric the entire match.
Yeah, they're and that's an interesting theme this month in general, in that I do think the crowd have given Vince Russo a reasonable benefit of the doubt, good faith chance.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the case that the crowd have heard Russo is back and have immediately started chanting "Fire Russo." The crowd are doing their best to be the TNA hometown crowd for this very important show, an important match, an important time in TNA history. And that doesn't last very long. But that's not due to their lack of trying.
I also think, like, this isn't the month to turn on him. So, like this is the, you know, I don't think you can necessarily be too mad at this month, even with this match's booking being, like, kind of annoying. It wasn't, like, horrific, like, wrestle crap stuff, you know? It was just, like, a kind of misguided booking idea.
Yeah. Abyss has the power advantage early on, so Angle goes for the legs. James Mitchell disappears and re-emerges with a wheelbarrow full of thumbtacks.
Specifically, a red wheelbarrow, because he's the devil.
Oh, is that the way it works?
I'm guessing. Red means devil.
He does wear a red suit, and he is the devil.
Did we ever get Loki Angle?
No, I don't think so. TNA does respond to the wheelbarrow full of tacks with the quote, "That's what TNA is all about."
Yes, okay, sure.
And I don't think he meant it that way. I think he meant, like, oh, surprises, but, like, yeah, a bunch of bullshit. That is what TNA is all about. You're not wrong.
This match is what TNA is all about, to be fair.
You will get Loki and Angle on the opposite side of a bunch of tag team matches.
Beatdown Clan?
In 2015 with the Beatdown Clan.
Yeah, let's fucking go.
So you'll have to wait a little while, but you'll get some Loki Angle and some tags.
That's good. That is enough to satiate.
Mitchell dumps some tacks out on the floor. Mike and Don are very excited about the possibility of Angle Joe. They keep talking about it. Abyss takes a bunch of fucking phenomenal looking German suplex bumps for a man his size.
He has one where it's a little wonky, but it's like, fair enough.
But there's a bunch of them where he's, like, going high on the neck and back, and it's like, dude, you're too big for that, but I appreciate it.
Which is why the later one was more of a low angle.
Angle kicks out of the Black Hole Slam. Angle gets the ankle lock that Abyss struggles in, but Angle eventually grapevines it for the win. Very good TV main event here on a good episode of Impact. I think once again proving one of the things TNA is good at is, like, the one-off we need to make an impression episodes. And this was a show that had one good match and one very good match.
Because, like, again, TNA, their greatest feature is their ability to do resets. And, like, a big show like this, where they have to do a showcase, is kind of like a pseudo reset show.
And this is kind of like the beginning of a new era. This is the post-Jarrett era of TNA. Like, it is a fundamental shift, I think, post-Bound for Glory 2006 is, like, just a pivot in the era of TNA. If we were to say, like if we were to define TNA eras, I do think this would be the beginning of a new one.
It feels it, at least. And also because, you know, booking changes.
Yes. Joe appears after the match and exchanges some moves with Angle. Joe hits Angle in the face with a chair. Abyss and Joe come face to face. They decide to go after Angle some more together. We have some Sting Abyss stuff that we'll talk about when we get to that, but it comes back down to Angle and Joe. Joe locks Angle in the ankle lock. Angle is now bleeding as Joe locks in the coquina clutch. How did you feel about Joe making Angle bleed before the pay-per-view?
I don't think I felt one way or the other. I can see the argument of, like, you want to save that, because that's, like, the payoff, but especially with the way the match goes. But I don't know, I don't think I have a problem with it. I think it would have been something like, if they did it and saved it, maybe I would have registered more to me, but the fact that they didn't do it didn't, like, irk me.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think if you were writing a textbook case, a textbook argument for how this angle should go, the textbook argument would be you do not do the blood payoff until the pay-per-view. But did it meaningfully affect my anticipation for Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe that they did the blood on TV rather than the pay-per-view first? No, not really.
Yeah.
It is fun to contrast the wacky bullshit we'll get into in a moment with Sting Abyss, and then with the pure sports, we want to fight and make each other bleed. Angle Joe stuff. This is the same company somehow.
I have a question.
Shoot.
Is TNA the major American promotion with the most world title changes on TV?
Oh, Attitude Era probably fucks you.
Like, on average?
I would say the answer is probably WCW, because I think WCW did a lot of title changes on TV, and especially when you get into like 99, 2000, they change that belt every 2 weeks. So I think WCW probably has it, but I would say probably in terms of post WCW, definitely. And even taking out WCW, I think TNA are number 2 behind WCW.
I don't think I dislike that. I think having TV be a place where a world title change could happen is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of how many TNA have had. They did more in the the Hogan Bischoff era. There was a more plentiful title changes on TV there. The first one we'll get isn't until October next year, I don't think. Is the first time the world title changes on TV in TNA. It hasn't happened yet, has it? I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
Because even world title matches are pretty rare on TV, even at this moment in TNA history.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. In 2006, is Lethal Jarrett the only world title match on television so far?
That seems right to me.
I think it is. I can't think of another one. So at this point, even world title matches are pretty rare. That, of course, like, because it goes down to like Russo's respect for belts is fundamentally like think about the number of times belts changed hands this month, where it's like the X title changes hands like it's fucking nothing in this month of TNA TV. So like Russo's respect for belts is just fundamentally different from, again, what you would say the textbook respect for belts should be, and that results in a lot more title changes and title defenses on TV.
I don't hate it. I also don't think it necessarily makes like talent look bad to lose titles often, because like it is people fighting, and people fighting just lose sometimes, you know?
Yeah, there's always like there's a middle ground, you know. Like Russo goes too far the other way, where it is just like, you know, who cares about Sabin and AJ? Like Sabin wins the belt and loses the belt, and AJ wins the belt and loses the belt. Like it's just, and like Daniels is not a champion for very long either. So like there's a lot of title changes where like the none of the title changes make any real impact, and there's times where you can do that in a way that meaningfully moves along a story and it's actually exciting and interesting, and then there's times where you're just doing it to do it, and Russo just does it to do it. But I agree with you that it's not the case that it's just like you should never change titles unless it's been a 3-month title reign. It's like, no, dude, you can do anything if you do it well.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
TNA Genesis, the main event, the dream match of the decade, Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe.
This match fucking rules. It's so sick. It's fucking great. I am astonished that this is not a match that is talked about more by people. I think if you haven't seen this match, or if you only saw it when it happened, you should do yourself a favor, go back and watch it. It's up on the TNA YouTube channel like right now. Like, it's awesome. I think I went 4.5 or 4.25. Like, it's really good. You can put it up there with anything that you were seeing in like ROH that year. Like, as far as like a pure like in-ring great pro wrestling match.
I highly recommend people go listen to the watch along, because Liam has a very fun crisis during this match where he realizes it's awesome and he's wondering how they ruin it.
Because my theory was like, I never hear people talk about this match. So in my head, that like Russo fucked it, and he did something that ruined it, and that's why people don't talk about it, and that's why I've equated like the first 3 Joe matches into the one match, which is the cage with the Kurt wearing the like MMA shorts. Like, when I think of this feud, I think of only that match. And that's unfair, because this rocks, and it doesn't have bullshit. And up until the final moments in this match, I was assuming some bullshit was going to happen that was going to ruin it for me, but it didn't.
It is interesting how the lockdown match has come to define this rivalry more than this match has. Because like this match was very well acclaimed at the time. It was considered like a special professional wrestling match, just because like the atmosphere and like the idea of these two wrestling, and then they did deliver bell to bell. Like it's not the case that like people were like, oh, you know, it was pretty good. Like coming out of this match, people were like, that was great. That was what I wanted from a Kurt Angle Samoa Joe match. I think that people might have thought it was a little short. I kind of liked that it was really, really tight, but that might have been like the only critique coming out of it. But you are right that like the defining Kurt Angle Samoa Joe match is the lockdown match. That's the match with the Joe title changes, with the like MMA hybrid stuff. That's the match that historically, if people talk about an Angle Joe match, they talk about that one more than they talk about this one, even though this one delivered on just as high, if not more of a level for like the first time ever dream match.
Yeah, it's very interesting that this is a match that is sort of just lost to time. So I'm encouraging everyone listening to this to please go check it out. Give us your opinions in the Discord or on the Patreon, because like I would love to hear, if you haven't seen it before, how it hits for you, or if you did watch it when it happens, how has your memory of it shaped up in comparison to watching it now? So
JB gives us the big in-ring introductions for this main event match. The crowd chant "This is awesome" at the bell, so it's a regular Arthur Ashe Stadium match. Not quite that atmosphere, but Angle hits the post full force, and then Joe follows with an elbow suicida, does a loop of the ring with Angle in tow, and then smashes him into the steps. Angle comes up bleeding like crazy. Like Angle, if one thing I will say, it's like a trickle of blood on the TV on Impact. A lot of blood here.
Maybe that was the trade-off. Angle's like, we know we gave them a little on Impact. We have to give them the full fucking thing here.
Joe immediately starts working over the cut and then paints his chest with the blood because he's the fucking best pro wrestler of all time. Angle hits some rolling Germans, the third of which is meant to be an overhead German, but Joe just kind of lands on his neck and shoulder because he doesn't go all the way over, and it kind of looks better for it.
I mean, it looks like a shoot takedown.
Yeah, it looks like what a shoot overhead German between Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe should look like. Joe hits the Muscle Buster and Angle kicks out, making him, I believe, the first person in TNA to kick out of the Muscle Buster.
Wow, Black Hole Slam and Muscle Buster back to back. Nobody can beat this man.
Yeah, any protected finish, Kurt's just kicking out of it. Lance Hoyt is kicked out of the Black Hole Slam, though. I do remember that. So he's Kurt's not the only one. Joe kicks out of the Olympic Slam, so at least they
Spiral
return the
Tap
favor.
is coming for you.
That is like the freaking burning hammer of TNA, isn't it? The crowd chants "Make him tap," which causes Angle to pull the straps down. Joe kicks Angle's leg out while on an ankle lock and turns it into cooking a clutch. Angle finds the ankle and turns it back into an ankle lock. I like that of him, like he's desperately trying to get out of a hold and then he just grabs the ankle. Joe rolls through but misses a charge. Angle hits another Olympic Slam. Angle puts the straps back up, takes them back down, grabs the ankle lock, grapevines it, and Samoa Joe taps out to his first loss in TNA, his first loss in his near 18 months. The streak is over. Joe has lost to Kurt Angle.
And he immediately is like, fuck that.
Let's do this shit again.
I really appreciate that, like, he, like, gives Angle, like, kind of his props, but he's like, we gotta go again. Fucking let's do it. I have to avenge this loss as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so Joe gets the microphone. The crowd chant, "You tapped out at him." Really interesting atmosphere, I think, in that...
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about how, like, at the start, like, there was boos for Angle.
Because the crowd is, I would say, broadly pro-Angle, I think, as a whole.
I think they like both of these guys, and they should chant that.
They should. We're 15 years away from what both these guys chant, unfortunately. But yeah, like it is interesting to watch the dynamic play out of like Joe is this crowd's guy, but Kurt Angle's fucking Kurt Angle. So like those two dynamics like bounce off each other for the whole match. So you do get like some boos for Joe, but people want Joe to kill him. Then you get some boos for Angle, but they're super into Angle. So it's a fun atmosphere.
It's interesting because like I think part of that reaction comes from like Joe coming off the Jarrett stuff. It's like when he's been like the guy against the biggest heel in the company. Like it's not like he's coming off of killing AJ, you know, he's not like a straight heel here.
Yeah, he's been a babyface since the summer. There's been some rockiness on that road, but he's broadly been a babyface since the summer.
Yeah.
Joe says, yeah, he tapped out, but he can recognize it was somebody was the better man on the day, but he wants a rematch. He offers a handshake. Angle blows him off and leaves. Joe says, we'll have to do it the hard way, as Mike Tenay and Don West recap the show a little before it ends.
Yeah, this match is great. Please watch it.
Yeah, it's not as good as it gets for TNA, because there's better matches in TNA history, but like... It is just a fucking straightforward Kurt Angle Samoa Joe match where Angle bleeds a shit ton. Joe's the coolest wrestler on earth and they rock.
On my other monitor, I have Frankie Kazarian versus Kurt Angle playing.
The Slammiversary match?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, really good match.
Also, Frankie looks really cool.
Yeah, Fortune era Frankie.
Yeah, it's a good look for him.
I guess technically right before Fortune, but yeah, good match. Good era for Frankie.
They're just fucking going, like, it's kind of like the Angle Joe match where they're just going for it.
Yeah, there's a fun story where like Angle is like, I'm going from the bottom to the top of the rank because they
I'm going from the bottom, and that
rankings
means
year.
you, Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah, but like I think it was actually Frankie was the first because like he was number 10 in the rankings, so he was going from the bottom of the rankings toward to the top. They kind of dropped that toward the summer because they have fucking object permanence and they can't.
Because
do
of course they do.
But Angle does eventually end up in the world title match, but through some bullshit. Up next, the NWA World Title match, which does not, for the first time in a very long time, feature Jeff Jarrett.
Which is a joy in itself. Like, it's funny. Like we are, I would consider us broadly Jeff Jarrett defenders. Like try to give him his props whenever we can. But like this month without him has been fun.
Yeah,
like, it's felt refreshing not having Jeff Jarrett around.
Just doing his same fucking paranoid promo and his same, like, I'm the real NWA World Champion bullshit. Like, he gets one promo this month to kind of further the Sting story and to set him up going away. But other than that, there is no Jeff Jarrett, and you're not going to see him until April. So you get a period of freedom from Jeff Jarrett.
I thought you were going to say 2008.
He's only back very briefly because his wife passes away then shortly after he returns and he goes on another hiatus. So he's back for 2 months in 2007 and then you don't see him again until October 2008. So
you know what? A nice little 2 month of Jarrett isn't bad.
A little tease.
Yeah. Then we get Double J MMA at some point. You know, wait, there's joys to come.
And like when he returns in 08, he is, broadly speaking, he does have like world title matches and main event programs, but he's closer to the mid-card than he is the main event, which is always better off. That's where he should be. He's a good mid-carder. He's not a main eventer.
I think we're kind of out of like the reign of terror of Jarrett.
It's over. Yeah. Bound for Glory 2000 again, which is the reason it's like an era shift. Like that's firmly the end of the Jarrett era.
I propose to you, now that we have made it through the Jarrett sea, like, is it as bad as everyone says it is?
There are absolutely points in which it is. I would say there's 2 points in which like I was at my Jarrett breaking point. One is like 04 toward the end of the Asylum days where it's just like there's no interesting challenges for him. Like even Jeff Hardy comes in and Jarrett just beats him too. And it's just Jarrett all the time and he's doing the same stuff. And then the other is like the last 4 months here of his TNA from like Slam to now, this reign, where I'm just like, just fuck off. Just fuck off. Just go away. I'm sick of you doing this. Because he doesn't develop his act. I think that's the problem. Like he's not a different more kind of world champion each time he has this belt. He's doing the same like TNA management are out to get me. By God, I have to gather a bunch of people to stop TNA management from screwing me out of the belt. He's doing that whole thing for like 3 years. And I'm just like, find a new angle for this thing, buddy. You're so stale. So I don't think in totality it's as bad as people think. I think there are moments where he has good matches and he's fine and he's like the classic charming, fun Jeff Jarrett. But there are absolutely like spikes where it just gets to that point where I'm like, I never want to see you wrestle again.
The Triple H run is worse.
I think absolutely. Positively.
Yeah. Jeff Jarrett vindicated? As not being as bad as the worst to ever do it.
He is not the worst reign of terror of all time. Of course, that's 2025 Jon Moxley.
I was going to say 2024 MJF.
Oh, I think I don't like that run more than I don't like any Jarrett run. So you know what? Jarrett's the third worst.
There you go. Because the Moxley payoff was that it ended up being great.
Oh, Mox, I do not believe actually had a reign of terror. Just people were going crazy in January.
The thing about the Mox thing is like, it took a while for it to get like running. But like, for the majority of it, it was good.
He reheated like 4 baby faces to the degree that everyone wanted them to be main event stars. Like, it was a fucking phenomenal world title reign. It turned like, not that Swerve and Ospreay and Hangman were languishing, but it turned them from like mid-card guys just doing stuff and back into like top acts. Because Mox was a fucking star. Like it's one of the most successful world title reigns in recent memory. And what comes next is follow up. Like that's up to Tony. But that reign did its fucking job.
Yeah, but we're not talking about AEW.
We're not.
Not for another 17 years.
When we're talking about them being at war for number 2 with TNA.
I meant like Moose and Kenny.
We are here to talk about the Fight for the Right tournament, which will determine the challenger for Sting at Genesis. Sting comes out on the first Impact of the month. He is the new NWA World Champion. He's wearing his Bound for Glory gear. When he gets to the ring, Christian is already there.
I was like, where'd you come from?
He knows Sting is going to milk it for a while, so he just has to hang out in the ring. Christian says that Sting has stolen his thunder long enough, and now he's returning the favor. He complains about being in the Fight for the Right for a shot because he never lost the title and he never got his rematch. Christian reminds Sting he hit him with a guitar a couple months ago. Christian says Sting is scared and terrified that he's not as big a star as Christian. He wants Sting to just give him the title match. Crowd are chanting for Joe at this point, which is fun. That like Christian's like, give me my match, and they're like, no, we want that Joe guy.
We want Joe Sting, please. We want to see Sting die.
Sting says that he can have a shot at the title, but not at Genesis. But whenever Sting says, he then unleashes his baseball bat from a hidden compartment within his jacket and then runs off Christian.
He is Batman.
He really is. It's really cool. He is
Batman.
the assassin. Was Assassin's Creed out at this point? I don't think it was. It was 2007, wasn't it?
I was going to say it was a little later, I thought.
So maybe the Assassin's Creed devs were watching this episode as like, hidden bat, hidden blade? And that's where it came from.
Yeah, let's choose to believe this.
So later in the show, we get the first round of the Fight for the Right tournament, which is the Fight for the Right Reverse Battle Royal. Now, you were saying moments ago, this is not full Russo bullshit month. And one of Vince Russo's most famous Russo bullshit things is here.
Don't make me come onto this audio podcast and defend the Reverse Battle Royal.
That's what you're here to do.
It's not that bad. All right. It's like, because, and you know what? It's booked quite well. Because in this Reverse Battle Royal, they like rush to get in like 5 minutes, which is how it should be. It's not meant to be like a long drawn out thing. It is like a race to see who can get in there. And then those people get the go to the next stage of the match. And I think that's fine. And they do it well, and they all get in there very quickly. And it's like the people that make it in there make sense.
Yeah, there are some instances where the logic of the match falls apart, and where there's people standing on aprons, and then there's sudden hard cuts to where they're no longer standing on aprons, and they're like they did fuck up some of the working of that opening stretch. But I don't think it's inherently the worst thing in the history of wrestling.
No, I think it's perfectly serviceable.
So if you've never heard of a Reverse Battle Royal and you're wondering what it is,
oh, fuck off. Use a bit of fucking common sense. What do you think? They throw them under the bottom rope?
Yeah, they go under the ring and then up through a hole in the middle of the ring.
And guess what? That would also rule.
There are 18 wrestlers outside the ring. The first 7 to get over the top rope into the ring then compete in a regular battle royal.
Yeah, it's fine.
Those 7 compete in a battle royal to determine the seeding of the Fight for the Right tournament.
7 is an interesting number.
Yeah, it's a very weirdly constructed tournament in that it's a reverse battle royal leading to a battle royal leading to a series of 3-way matches leading to a singles match.
Leading to 2 singles matches.
Yeah, it's a strange formatted tournament.
They get Kurt as well.
Yeah, the winner also faces Kurt Angle. That's not announced here, but when we get to the final, it's announced that the winner of this tournament will be the first person to wrestle Kurt Angle in TNA.
I would have said the loser wrestled him.
They would have made more sense.
Like, whoever is number 2 wrestles Kurt. Whoever is number 1 gets the title match. And you could have had Bobby be number 2.
It would have worked. The final 2 are classic TNA gauntlet match rules or battle royal rules where it's a singles match. So the winner of this reverse battle royal match automatically gets seeded to the final. And then the other 6 compete for the other spot in the final, which is quite the tournament structure. But
I mean, whatever. A tournament on TV, I will not argue against.
I do find like Vince Russo's concept of a tournament very funny. Like Vince Russo's like, we're doing a tournament, so it's gonna be reverse battle royal, 3-way matches, singles matches. Winner of the battle royal part goes all the way to the last singles match. Then we have 2 3-way matches between the rest of the people who got in the battle royal to get to the other singles match. Oh, sorry, no, I skipped a step. It's singles matches into 3-way matches back into singles matches.
Yes. He does have a very loose definition.
It's funny. It's funny to see that man try to process concepts that have been established since, like, I don't know, the beginning of man.
Since there was 4 people on this world, there have been tournaments.
We have been competing. We have been putting them together in combinations and competing. And Russo's like, I can fix it.
But you know what? We need that mind, otherwise everything's boring. So
That's true.
big swings and misses are just as important as big swings and hits.
We wouldn't get new tournament structures without Vince Russo. Our competitors in this match are Abyss, AJ Styles, Chris Sabin, Christopher Daniels, Lance Hoyt, Robert Roode, Ron Killings, Brother Devon, Brother Runt, Christian Cage, Eric Young, James Storm, Jay Lethal, Kazarian, Kip James, Raven Senshi, Sanjay Dutt. There are, as I said, immediately incidences of people being left like unguarded and having to like not try and get in the ring and start a fight with somebody. There is one instance where you can see AJ standing on the apron, but he's magically like transported down to the floor, which like you can get around if you're smarter about how you work the match. But they had some silly logic flaws in how it was worked. But again, I don't think it's the worst thing in the history of the universe. And actually, the match turns out to be pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of have a problem with this.
Rude gets in first. Eric Young spends the entire match running around the ring. We get a bunch of smaller stories here that we'll come back to when we're covering those individual stuff. Sabin gets in. Styles and Daniels unite to get in. Abyss kicks Hoyt off and gets in, and then Hoyt also just gets in. Killings gets in as a LAX attack. Storm and 3D are shouting at AMW and the Naturals, and there's a whole bunch of fucking stuff happening at ringside that we'll get into through the various stories, which is both good and bad. It was a very chaotic match, but at least like it did serve a lot of stories.
It's also meant to be a chaotic match.
So now we're down to regular Battle Royal rules. Rude dumps out Killings as Don stresses he's out of the match, but not the tournament. So he will advance further into the singles matches and maybe get a 3-way match and maybe get a singles match. Rude also eliminates Sabin, Styles, and Daniels high-low Abyss as Styles eats a clothesline for a Daniels. It takes one for his partner. Miss Brooks grabs Daniels' leg, allowing Rude to throw him out, but then Styles eliminates Rude. Abyss hip tosses AJ out as AJ takes a wild bump for this silly match. God bless the man. That brings us down to the final 2 of Abyss and Lance Hoyt. Winner gets a bye to the final. It's pinfall or submission here, as we do like a mini version of their 2005 match, their really great 2005 pay-per-view match, and it's a lot of fun. Hoyt does a fucking crazy moonsault where he just runs straight up the ropes and moonsaults Abyss, and for a man that size to do that kind of like step-up moonsault off the top rope, fucking wild.
Just sitting here like begging them to just do something with Lance Hoyt.
It's been like, a very Lance Hoytless year. He disappeared for like 5-6 months.
And like the most impressive thing about him is every time he gets like a spot, he delivers, and like the crowd gets into him again. But they never follow it up well.
No, they never do anything with it. Especially like last year when there was like an organic movement behind Lance Hoyt, and they just did absolutely nothing with it. Abyss hits the shock treatment for 2. Hoyt hits a big dropkick and then hits Abyss with a coast-to-coast dropkick into a chair for 2. Eventually, Abyss connects with the Black Hole Slam. Part of the reason I think this is a 3-star match is like that final Lance Hoyt and Abyss portion is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like it's fine. It's not the worst thing in the history of wrestling. It's only like top 70.
It's not even that.
We should do that for Patreon. The top 70 worst things in the history of wrestling.
I know what my number 1 is.
We did recently basically do that when we covered the most disgusting promotional tactic list, but
my number 1 is Vince McMahon being born.
That set us on a wrong path.
My number 2 is the Death Riders.
John Moxley with the world title.
Oh, ridiculous.
JB is with Jeff Jarrett in an interview recorded immediately after the Bound for Glory world title match. Jarrett talks about how he had Sting's number for the opening of the match, but then he witnessed something transform within Sting.
Yeah, I like that he's like, I was going to beat him, but then Sting, he went to another level above me because of me.
Yeah.
I made Sting beat me. Sting didn't beat me. I beat me by Sting.
Yeah, it was because I brought out the best in Sting that Sting beat me, not because Sting is good.
Which honestly I admire.
He does say Sting was the better man, but only because he brought the better man out of Sting.
He was the better man because, again, I was a worse man, which made him the better man.
JB asks Jarrett if a rematch is next, and Jarrett said he's going home. He's going to step back, refocus, rethink. He reflects on how he may have dropped the ball on some personal and professional things in the last few years, but he has one thought: be careful what you wish for, directed towards Sting, because he hopes Sting is ready to carry that ball and it won't corrupt him too.
An interesting storyline that could be developing here if this company had patience.
Yeah, if they did, because they don't really do anything with Sting with this story this month. There's some video packages that kind of hint at the theme, but Sting doesn't behave any differently this month until he does.
It's very silly. Like a better company has Sting hold this belt for 6 months, and slowly he starts disintegrating and cheating and but they're 4 weeks.
Yeah. And it would be one thing if they told the story well within 4 weeks. You might be able to forgive it that they should have done this over 6 months, but they condensed it into 4 weeks, but told it in a way that was really well done and compelling. No, they don't do anything with it.
Very silly.
We cut to Mike and Don after this interview, and Don says he has a newfound respect for Jeff Jarrett.
Fucking easily swayed. This guy's been a demon.
This man tried to kill Mike TNA multiple times.
But, he showed some empathy.
So we'll cover the fight for the right stuff as it pertains to the tournament, and then try and circle back to any of the angle stuff as we're covering those individual angles. So we'll go through tournament stuff. On the November 2nd Impact, Chris Sabin and AJ Styles have an altercation backstage, or I guess it's not backstage, it's earlier in the week, I think it's framed as. Sabin is talking about how he likes to wear the belt on his shoulder. He's a full heel now after kind of flirting with it, but now he's just I'm an asshole. Jerry Lynn's the worst. AJ walks up, demands Sabin give him respect. Sabin says, "Eat me, punk," and Styles grabs him.
Styles is the most mad I've ever seen anybody.
Eat me, punk is the most devastating insult you could possibly deliver in 2006, to be fair.
It's so stupid. What a stupid insult.
We go to an hour later with Styles apologizing for losing his cool as Sabin busts in and he's like, "How do you like me busting your interview, buddy?"
I really thought that was funny.
Yeah.
He's that petty. He's like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna walk back into your interview."
He says he will put his X Division title, which he just won at Bound for Glory, on the line in his Fight for the Right tournament match against AJ Styles tonight, which is our opening match on Impact, in which Chris Sabin loses the X Division title to AJ Styles in a Fight for the Right quarterfinal match.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do I hate a title change in the middle of a tournament? I'm 60% yes.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to burn my TNA jersey,
The thing I will give him a mild amount of forgiveness is it wasn't just it's a title match. At least there was an angle to set up.
Yeah, there was a reason that they put the title on the line, which I think is probably why I don't hate it.
But yeah, it is one of those things that's why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
He just won the belt?
It's a very odd choice, but I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on it, but I remember when it happened, I was like, nah.
I can't tell you why it's to facilitate the Styles and Daniels split story that they're using the X Division title as a prop in that story. That's why AJ wins it. That's why AJ loses it. So that there is a narrative reason why they decided to do this. It's not just completely random, but it is again the kind of thing that you should develop over 4 months, not in one tournament.
Yeah.
The match is fine. It's 5 minutes. There's not much to it. AJ does a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, and then TNA points out that's a Jerry Lynn move. So AJ's doing the Jerry Lynn move to Chris Sabin. TNA promotes the Best of the X Division Volume 2 in stores now, a very canonically important DVD for my TNA fandom.
Mm-hmm. I own it as well.
AJ reverses the cradle shock into a small package to win the X Division title, and he's bleeding from the nostril as he advances in the Fight for the Right tournament. We get a video feature on the newly transformed Sting. He talks about how he thought Jeff Jarrett was a changed man at Bound for Glory, so I guess it goes both ways.
They both were we fixed each other. Sting and Jarrett have a toxic-ass relationship.
They do, and it never gets better.
Did they ever interact in AEW?
I think they had one of those tags, didn't they?
Did they?
I'm pretty sure I subtweeted it, so... I think one of the good Jeff Jarrett tag matches was a Sting and Darby match, if memory serves. Sting talks about how Jeff Jarrett has been going through personal struggles himself, how the belt is a cancer and it corrupts, which feels a little like his wife is dying of cancer at this point. Yeah, just to actually say that, maybe use a different word.
It also kind of sounds like he's blaming Jarrett's world title, like, feud for that.
For giving his wife cancer?
Yeah.
It does. You could definitely read it that way. That like, yeah, there is a read of that I would think is not unfair.
They did have a match. Full Gear 2022, Darby Allin and Sting versus Lethal and Jarrett.
What's the cage match rating?
6.4.
That seems low.
Yeah. Dave gave it 3 1/4.
All right. Sting gives credit to God. He's nothing without the big man in the sky. JB has Truth and Lance Hoyt. They've teamed together, but now they're opponents in the Fight for the Right tournament. Truth says he's a 2-time champ and friends don't pay the bills, so he's going to beat Lance and become champ again. Lance says he wants his shot and might take Ron's head off. Then they bump fists. And I kind of like that like, we're partners and it's not going to get petty, but we would like the NWA title, please.
Yeah, I mean, it makes the most sense.
Eric Young pops up and asks if JB has seen Jeff. JB says no and asks JB to mention that EY was asking for him if he does see Jeff Jarrett. Did that ever like turn into anything? That will be the Jeff Jarrett return story.
Okay. I was like, I don't remember that ever getting followed up on.
So that's what part of the angle for Jarrett's return in 2007 when he does one pay-per-view match against Bobby Roode is he's like Eric Young's friend fighting Bobby Roode. Ron Killings defeats Lance Hoyt in the Fight for the Right quarterfinal.
I remember it being sort of like okay, but I like both of these guys getting something on TV.
I do like that Don is like, Lance Hoyt's the real surprise in this tournament.
I mean, he's not wrong.
But like that is how far Lance has fallen, that him getting to be one of the 7 men in this tournament is like, big for Lance this time.
I don't think he's incorrect, though.
Don also refers to the NWA title at one point as a very seductive seductress.
True.
Ron wins with the axe kick. There's some 3LK family drama post-match, but we will get to that later. Robert Roode defeats Christopher Daniels in the other Fight for the Right quarterfinal match. We hear Roode's singles theme for the first time, the theme that will live on as the melody underneath the beer money theme, so that's fun. Don mentions that all the records the Dow Jones has been setting recently has been due to Roode joining Wall Street. He is a master investor. He is burgeoning the stock market. Tracy Brooks does some distracting at ringside, both of Daniels and of Earl Hebner. Daniels hits the BME, but Brooks distracts the ref. Don says, "We know she's hot, but this tournament is too important." Don. Turn your horniness off, sir. Tracy grabs Daniel's leg when he goes for the Angel's Wings, allowing Roode to hit the payoff, which is like the roll of the dice crossroads at this point. It's not the Fisherman Suplex in tribute to Kurt Hennig yet. He's doing the crossroads as a payoff. For the win, AJ runs out after the match. Daniels looks mad about it, and Daniels looks aghast at AJ having the X Division title on his shoulder. He is maybe the little jealous goose that AJ won a title in his tournament match, and then he just lost his tournament match to Bobby Roode. We then go, the winners of those 3 matches, Styles, Roode, and Killings, face off in a 3-way match, the winner of which will face Abyss in the final. So that is the opening match of the November 9th Impact. The final takes place on the same episode, by the way. So AJ Styles defeats Robert Roode and Ron Killings to advance to the final of the Fight for the Right tournament.
And this is the famous 3-way that everyone talks about.
The Styles, Roode, Killings 3-way that just happened.
5 stars.
Yeah, we just had the 20th anniversary of as we podcast right now. You can go check out the link where in our bio where you can get both the poster and the Styles Daniels Joe t-shirt. See?
Look at us.
For once, we're plugging merch and not at the very end of the episode.
We're just going to do it throughout the entire episode.
Constantly. Jerry Lynn is sitting in the crowd with the X Division guys pointing and advising Sabin, Lethal, and Dot. Styles goes up top, but Tracy grabs his leg. Daniels and Hoyt unite to put Tracy in the front row. A fan with a drink excitedly spills it all over her while chanting TNA. Tracy slaps him, which distracts Roode, and all this commotion allows AJ to roll up Ron in the ring as AJ is selling his leg.
My favorite thing about this is like Roode, I feel like doesn't care about the match loss as much as he cares about the PR nightmare.
We're gonna get a lawsuit for you slapping that fan, Tracy.
That's why he's like, yeah, we need to get new consulting.
Yeah, which doesn't really go anywhere. But yeah, Robert Roode Incorporated is under threat. It's a newly formed company, and you're gonna take the thing down with your temper. Yeah, so AJ advances to face Abyss later in the show. Backstage, Rude is berating Tracy about all the lost money because they didn't get to the Fight for the Right tournament, about how they need crowd control and an image consultant so people will love him and spend their money on him, and demands Tracy go out and get PR and image people right now.
I kind of like it. But I like, that he doesn't really care about the match as much as he cares about his image.
Yeah. Because this is like the first hints of the Rude character. We're told that he is rich now from his investing on Wall Street. He is a company. He cares about the corporate image. He has his secretary. How are you feeling about the early stages of Bobby Roode as a singles wrestler?
I'm liking it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm interested in see how Rude develops.
Yeah, he doesn't really have like his in-ring identity yet. Even like as I was saying earlier, like his finish is not the fisherman suplex. It's the freaking crossroads. He hasn't even worked that part out yet. So like in ring, it's still pretty raw, but it's nice to see him like they're trying to do something with him, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
We have a little backstage vignette where Mitchell hands Abyss his mask to head out for the main event in the Fight for the Right finals.
It's kind of a fun little moment.
It is. It's one of those like cool stylistic vignettes. And the main event of this episode, Abyss defeats AJ Styles to win the Fight for the Right tournament and earn a shot at Sting at Genesis. Andrew Thomas sends James Mitchell and Christopher Daniels to the back at the start of the match. Abyss wedges a chair in the ropes. The referee tries to pull it out and fails. I appreciate the effort.
It's a good reason for like why it's still there.
It's just so hard. I guess and Abyss is one of the people I guess you could credibly say he's really big and strong, so he just really wedged it in there.
Yeah, and then little Andrew Thomas couldn't get it done.
Mike Tenay, this is where he announces that the winner of this match will also face Kurt Angle next week on Impact. Abyss slingshots AJ into the chair. The X Division crew are once again watching from the rafters. Sabin is yawning and stretching. Abyss crashes into AJ and the ref in the corner. Christian runs in, hits Abyss with a chair. He also hits AJ with a chair, and Christian says he's the one true number one contender. Andrew Thomas counts both men out. Double count out. Tournament's over. Nobody wrestles Kurt. Nobody wrestles Sting.
Sting and Kurt.
That's the only solution. We have to put them together next week on Impact. Earl, Hebner, and Rudy come out and try to explain what happened, and we come back from break and the match is actually restarted. They trade some near falls before Mitchell comes out with the thumbtack bag. Daniels cuts him off. As the referee is trying to clear both of them out, Sabin appears, hits AJ Styles with Enziguri, allowing Abyss to hit the Black Hole Slam for the win. Sting versus Abyss at Genesis. Angle versus Abyss next week.
This match is like an overbooked mess, but AJ bumps around like crazy and it makes it kind of enjoyable.
Yeah, it's Angle. Like, there's so much going on between, like, the Christian stuff, the Daniels, AJ story, the Mitchell stuff, the Sabin stuff. Like, there is 7 different angles running through this match, but at the end of the day, it is an Abyss versus AJ Styles match on television.
Yeah. I don't really, like, it's not like the traditional sort of match you would want, but, like, I don't know, it's weird and wacky, and it's still compelling to watch, you know?
And you have the lockdown match if you ever want to watch what this good version of this match could be.
Yeah.
The primetime special on November 16th, we get a feature on Abyss focusing on there perhaps being a personal trauma behind his desire to inflict pain. We're laying some seeds there that there's more to the Abyss character than might meet the eye.
I feel like that happens way later.
We move into it with Sting. And James Mitchell has been the only man that can control Abyss.
The only man?
Interesting.
Because there was a woman. She's coming back.
We get another feature on Sting's return and ascent to the championship as Barry Scott does some chanting. This is where Angle faced Abyss. After that match, the crowd chant for Sting as Abyss and Joe are beating up Angle. Sting repels from the rafters for the first time in TNA history.
I didn't realize that this was the first time. I just kind of assume he always does it.
He actually doesn't really do it at all in TNA. I want to say he only does it one more time. One that I can think of. Maybe he does it some others on like TV.
It's just really hard to do in the Impact Zone, I guess.
Yeah, because he lands on the announce table.
That's the only place they can do it.
Yeah, and then hits a crossbody off the announce table, which is really cool. You know what the dumb thing is? They're having him repel from the rafters to set something up they do on the pay-per-view. But then he doesn't also repel from the rafters on the pay-per-view.
I mean, I guess they did enough.
They introduced it. So, Sting repels from the rafters, takes Abyss out with a crossbody off the announce table. He clears house with a bat. Angle Joe do some more brawling. And then we cut backstage like 30 seconds later. And Abyss has Sting hanging upside down in some kind of like harness. And then he's hitting Sting with a baseball bat. Abyss, very efficient.
Much more efficient than Sting.
Yes, he gets Sting in this contraption much faster than Sting does on the pay-per-view. It is, like, again, it's such wackiness that, like, we just come backstage and Abyss has Sting hanging upside down and then hits him with a baseball bat. It's like, sure.
I think Abyss is sort of the king of that sort of segment. Of, like, let's cut to the back and some stupid shit's happening.
We do eventually get him massacring Rob Van Dam with a nail bat.
The natural conclusion.
Yeah. On the pay-per-view, the NWA World Title match is Sting versus Abyss. Before the match, we get a James Mitchell promo. Mitchell is like, Sting, why are you afraid of the dark when, by your own admission, you were at your peak when you embraced all the world's deadly vices? Does he think he can just say prayers and it'll go away? No. Sting looks at Abyss and sees all that evil, but in his defeat will come freedom. He won't thank his creator. He'll thank the man who's the embodiment of evil, Abyss.
Okay. Shit, like, sure. I never thought of Abyss the embodiment of all evil. Mostly just, like, violence.
We did establish he spawned from a hell portal, didn't we?
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. I never imagined him, like, selling heroin.
Sure.
Is it embracing all of the world's vices? You know, he's everything.
He was Sting's dealer back in the day during his dark days.
Who knows? That's what I believe James Mitchell is implying.
But Abyss defeats Sting by disqualification to win the NWA World Heavyweight title.
Makes sense to me.
If you would remember, I
was going to say, go on your little tangent about how this is actually good and respecting the law.
I won't say it's good. I will say, like, it is consistent with the TNA lore, but it is TNA canon that when there is a disqualification in a championship match, the championship changes hands. It has happened where the belts change hands from D'Lo and Apollo by DQ, if you remember. Mm-hmm. And I believe, didn't Jerry Lynn and Red lose them by DQ as well? Wasn't there one around there too? So there has been a couple of incidents of titles changing hands by DQ. It's funny the way the finish played out. They did the DQ and then there's a long pause between them announcing the title change. So they played it out as if you wouldn't remember that this is a TNA rule.
To be fair, no one did.
And you didn't either. I quite like that it landed as intended on you as well, where you're like, oh, wait a minute.
I mean, I remembered, like, immediately after they announced that that's how it works. But in the moment, I did not.
So there's a lot going on in this match.
It's mostly just a bunch of crazy spots and things going kind of awry, but, like, Abyss having a rough night. Not necessarily from in-ring work, just like, bro got the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, because I think these two have good chemistry. I think they work well together, but there's just so many layers of bullshit in this match that you're like, I have no idea how to actually rate this match. I think the work was pretty good, but there's so much bullshit in here.
Yeah.
Sting is in his black and red gear, tights, red trim to his face paint. Looking very good.
Yeah, this is the best Sting look.
This is his video game look is the last one. One of these looks is his video game look, isn't it?
I think this is it.
I think it might be this one because, like, the Angle video game look is the one on this show too. So this might be where they got Sting and Angle. Sting hits a slingshot crossbody and they brawl through the crowd. Abyss sets up a table and barbed wire by the ramp and then doesn't do anything with it, so we have Chekhov's barbed wire tables. He does go to powerbomb Sting through it, but Rudy and Mitchell talk him out of it because he'd get DQ'd if he would do something like that.
Ah, see, it's a good start.
They laid some seeds. Sting hits a big top rope splash for 2 after Abyss's shoulder wasn't down. The referee is like, hey, get that shoulder down. Sting kicks out of the black hole slam, so everybody's doing that now. Ref gets bumped. Abyss gets the tax, but Sting cuts him off with the bat and hits a scorpion death drop. Mitchell, with a freakish feat of strength, pulls the referee out.
And, like, astonishing, like, strongest man of all time.
Because the referee moves in a different direction than Mitchell pulled him. So it's like there's a lot going on with his strength here.
That's the strength of the devil.
Ah, that makes sense. Sting empties the tax, but fully plays the Abyss role because he's the one that gets chokeslammed in them. It is the wrestling lore, the wrestling canon. He who empties tax goes in tax. Also, shout out Sting for being a sicko who will take a thumbtack bump.
I mean, it's just that he is a sicko. We have confirmed that over the last few years.
And there, Shoot tax. His back is bleeding for the rest of this match. Abyss, actually, yeah, the sickest part, really, though. Abyss goes for the pin and Sting immediately kicks out and hulks up. So it's like, fucking Sting. Sting gets Abyss in the Scorpion Deathlock, but Mitchell distracts the referee as Abyss taps out. So Abyss is winning the belt by DQ and still can't even, Sting has to get a visual win over him still.
Again, Abyss taps out twice now. Angle has just broken the fucking... Broken the bay.
Sting goes out to the floor and ties Abyss to the harness that he uses to come down from the ceiling, which is just there for some reason because he didn't come down from the ceiling for his entrance in this match.
It's still there from last week.
I guess it was just Thursday.
Yeah.
He then proceeds to hang Abyss upside down after about a minute of tying him up and anchoring.
A minute is generous.
Because he has help, I think. He has somebody off camera who's helping doing the anchoring, and even then it still takes ages.
Yeah, they cut away to give them, more leniency with the person helping him.
You don't see him, yeah, but you can see, a Sting kind of hand off the kind of harness so that it can be tied, so it's not relying purely on the strength of Sting to keep Abyss hanging there. Mm-hmm. He hits Abyss with a chair multiple times, including one right to the face.
With not a DQ.
Nope, this is all fine. He hangs the man upside down and wails on him out with a chair. This, not a disqualification.
Some expert leniency being held here for the NWA World title.
Abyss also desperately trying to keep his belly covered as he's hanging
I know, it's
down.
so embarrassing for him. He clearly is, really self-conscious about it.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. Sting brings Abyss to the top of the ramp after getting him down from his fucking harness routine. Rudy tries to get Sting to stop as Sting takes him up to the stage where the tables are so he can knock him off. Sting pushes Rudy and then clotheslines Rudy Charles, which causes Rudy to disqualify Sting.
Which I actually like.
It must be stated, he disqualifies Sting before Sting throws the Abyss off the stage through tables and barbed wire.
Yeah, I respect Rudy for having his boundaries, which are, you can do what you want, I'm gonna give it to you, it's a world title match, I don't want to DQ it, but fuck you if you touch me!
Yeah.
I think that's perfectly reasonable as a referee.
And Mike TNA does try to cover for them a little bit, where he's traditionally in TNA, even given the disqualification rule, we have tried to give you conclusive finishes in world title matches, but Sting has simply just went too far this time.
And I agree with that.
So you think Vince Russo is good?
I don't think this is a bad ending.
All right.
I think that, it is perfectly reasonable for the ref to be like, fuck it, yeah, you're fine. I don't care if you beat the shit out of each other, but don't fucking touch me. I think that's a reasonable breaking point for him.
Fair enough.
It'd be my rule of thumb.
If you're a referee.
Yeah.
It's I don't care what you guys do to each other, just leave me alone.
Yes, 100%.
There are a few moments of hesitation and confusion before Rudy gets Dave Penzer to announce that because of the disqualification, Abyss, dead on the floor, lying in pain, is the new NWA World Champion. Yeah.
The worst thing about this is just that Abyss should have won, but I don't hate the ending logistically or logically.
Mitchell cackles, Sting looks shell-shocked as Abyss is your NWA champion for the first time in his career.
Only time?
Only time indeed. The only world title reign of Abyss.
I'm glad he got one.
Yeah, he did. The circumstances upon which, because it's always annoying to do the Today in History post of Today in History, Abyss won the NWA title, and you have to post this as the moment Abyss wins the NWA title. But it's nice that he had it. He deserved it.
Yeah, I'm glad he got that,
So the idea of all of that is that Sting lost his cool, presumably because of the corrupting force of the NWA title. So he lost his mind on Abyss, destroyed the referee, hung Abyss and hit him with stuff. Do you feel like that story worked?
I feel like that story could work if it was done well. I just think... we talked about it a little bit, but it was just rushed. I mean, I got the idea, but I don't think it necessarily delivered very much. I don't think you had to kind of think about it to understand it. It wasn't easily digestible.
Yeah, they laid some seeds for it, and then Sting went crazy in his first match.
Yeah. I think what we said before was this really should have been a 6-month long thing. Or a more nuanced thing. Or had done the one thing during the Abyss Kurt match to make it feel like it was building up to a point. Because they just kind of... maybe that's the point, is that the title immediately corrupted him. So But I don't know. I don't think it necessarily delivered on its point very well.
No. And it's like, it is an interesting idea that, like, this belt, it's not
I
Jarrett,
think
it's
it's
the belt.
actively a very good idea. I just don't think this company can deliver on that.
No, that is a bit of a problem. Mm-hmm. Up next in the heavyweight title scene, more or less, I guess Christian is talking about the NWA title all month anyway, is the last steps in the Christian Rhino rivalry. After Christian defeated Rhino in the 8 Mile Street fight at Bound for Glory, we continue this feud. Mm-hmm. We go to the Fight for the Right Battle Royal, in which Christian is brawling at Ron Killings. He eye pokes him, low blows him. He's about to get in the ring when Rhino stops him, brawls to the back as their feud continues, and he stops him from getting in the ring and advancing in the Fight for the Right tournament.
There's also a note that, like, Rhino specifically asked not to be in the tournament because he wanted to focus on murdering Christian dead.
There's a lot of people who didn't want to be in that tournament. BG James didn't want to be in it either.
Yeah. I guess the title isn't worth that much.
They have a match on the next episode of Impact. There's a feature in which they announce, I think it's announced at some point before that it will be at the primetime episode of Impact, the primetime special. It will be a barbed wire steel cage match between Rhino and Christian as they settle their dispute once and for all. But it can't just be a regular barbed wire cage match. There has to be a little bit of goofiness. So on the main event of the November 2nd Impact, it is Christian Cage versus Rhino in a, quote, weapons or escape 4 corners pole match.
It's a very odd dynamic. Mainly because, I mean, what is with Russo? I mean, but this is tired ground. But, like, what is with Russo and pole matches?
Immediately as well. The man is back a month and he is like, let me get my pole bullshit in. I just have to get my pole bullshit in.
I wonder what it is about it that he likes. Because I can't think of a gimmick that I think is less important ever than the pole match.
Yeah, like what is it about the like dramatic element of this match that somehow appeals to Vince Russo's brain?
Like legitimately, I think the pole match may be the lowest ranking of like regular match types on my list.
Yeah, it's pretty low. Like there are like I don't care for like Inferno matches. I think they're dumb.
But I think the gimmick is like wacky enough. Like at least there's fucking fire.
Yeah.
Like this is just like it's stupid. It's fucking ridiculous.
Do you think it's like the combination of it's cheap and you don't have to beat somebody? But he doesn't care about beating people. I think it's in his head it's like an easy progression of a story that doesn't necessarily involve someone losing. But it's stupid and not good ever. Yeah, there's maybe like I'm trying to think of what's the best pole match of all time, and I don't think there is one.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been one.
There is one wrestler I would trust to maybe have a good pole match, and that is Darby Allin.
And versus Big Bill.
He would find some freakish way to have a good pole match in the same way he has made the casket match good.
Yes, because he would jump off of the pole.
Any other company, any other feud announces a casket match, I'm like, could you have not have done any other stipulation? A casket match for Darby Allin? I'm like, fuck yeah, that rules.
That's a pretty tremendous talent, to be fair.
To turn like a chicken shit into chicken salad?
Yeah, and to be it's just, be a freak athlete, I guess.
Be willing to take any freakish bump to make anything work. So the rules of this weapons or escape 4 corners pole match is there are weapons and escape implements attached to the 4 poles. The match is over when all 4 are taken down, and then whoever gets that item from the pole can then use that item in the barbed wire steel cage match on the primetime special.
That's kind of a fun little twist on it, I guess. Like the idea of you have to kind of earn the weapons you want to use. It's like it's a Hunger Games scenario.
A little bit. You can call it in. If this was 2025 and they were using drones to drop in the weapons, it would be kind of
sick. All right, we've found a way to make this match cool.
Yeah,
I'm surprised no major company has tried to do like a Fortnite like battle royale gimmick with eliminations that's like takes place all over a building and there's like weapon caches and stuff that they can get.
And they do like make it a tape thing so you can do some like building gimmicks.
Yeah, that was like primed for a cinematic wrestling match.
Yeah, somehow like somebody just builds a fort and they win.
I think that'd be kind of sick. And think of this Fortnite sponsorship.
Like if DDT did that, you'd be like, fuck yes.
That'd be kind of awesome.
So the 4 items you can get are bolt cutters, so that you can cut the barbed wire at the top of the cage and escape. A key, so that you can open the door and escape. A pair of chairs, so that you can do concertos. And then a straitjacket, because a straitjacket's been used in this feud before. So whoever gets those can ask the referee to bring them into the cage, and then they use them in the match, in the barbed wire steel cage match on 2 weeks from this episode.
Do you think Dave's friends only complained about the referee handing weapons because they didn't watch this match?
Do you think if they watched this match, they would have been more into it?
No, but it at least explains away their problems with it.
Yeah, I don't really have I don't really have like an issue with referees handing it in. Like if it was, as you said, if it was like outside of context, and maybe for them it was outside of context, where it's like,
that's what I'm saying. Like they definitely didn't watch this episode beforehand.
They didn't understand that these were weapons that they had earned, and the referee, because you couldn't leave them in the ring at the start, because then the person that didn't earn them could use them. So you had to have requests it be handed in to the person who actually earned it.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think they still would have liked it, but I think they would have at least understood it. And typical Vince Russo, it's just people parachuting in without context, who don't understand the stories.
The vision.
If only he sat next to the owner every week and explained it to them.
It would work. It would help.
Rhino sends Christian crashing off the top of the floor and then grabs the key. Rhino got the straitjacket during the break. Christian gets the bolt cutters and tries to use them, but Rhino stops them. Rhino sets up a table in the corner. We then have some interference from Frankie Kazarian and Matt Bentley. We'll talk about that when we get to the the Hickenbottom story.
Hickenbottom.
But this interference allows Christian to get 2 chairs to end the match. Rhino gores Christian, tries to put the straitjacket on him. Rhino clearly took way too long getting the straitjacket on, because there's a huge cut, and then suddenly Christian is back in the jacket.
It's like, guys, we've had so much practice. At this point, you should have it like put together.
There. In fairness, I don't think there's a cut when they tried to do it in the cage match. I think they are much more efficient in the cage match, so I think they learned their lesson.
They practiced.
Kazarian and Matt Bentley distract Rhino and get beaten up. But once again, we'll talk about that in a moment. On the November 9th episode of Impact, Christian and Rhino are being interviewed in separate locations to keep them apart before their barbed wire cage match.
I like this bit.
That they can't be trusted to be in the same room.
No, just when like Rhino's like, I'll kill you, and Christian's still like on the back of the screen like, what? Huh? What? What's happening?
He is utterly confused about how angry the man across the screen from him is.
Yeah, because that like as it gets towards the end of the interview, like Rhino gets geared up and he just leaves the frame. But then they like go back to like Don West and Mike Tenay, and they're just talking. But in the background on the screen is still Christian, and you just see him panicking and looking around because he's like, "Wait, what's happening?"
Oh yeah, because like Rhino's like, "Oh, you don't think I know where you are? I'm coming to get you." And Christian's like, "What do I do?" And Don and Mike don't even like acknowledge it. It's just Christian in the like background freaking out. Yeah. So Tenay suggests that the key gives Rhino an advantage. Christian is upset about this because he's faster, stronger, has better penmanship, better skin, and if you want a full list, just ask Rhino's ex-wife. But above all, he has brains. Rhino asks what the bolt cutters are going to do when they're shoved up his ass, which is, you know what, fair. Rhino is going to get revenge next week and make Christian bleed. Rhino's not going to wait, goes looking for Christian, and Christian does look around like, That does take us to the primetime special, November 16th, in which Christian Cage and Rhino face off in a barbed wire cage match. There's a Rhino pre-match promo where he promises to cut Christian in half with a gore. Rhino's one of my favorite promo styles in maybe wrestling history.
Just like an angry dude, bro. He's
just like, I am angry and I'm going to kill you. And that's every promo he ever does, and it rocks.
Also, I think I something I only realized recently, how young he is at this point.
He's like 31 or something, yeah.
He's 28.
Is he still in his 20s?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like Rhino to me is perennially like a man in his 40s.
Yeah.
And to like think like that in like 05 he was still in his late 20s is really interesting.
And like it makes sense because he was like super young in ECW, but even to watch him in 05, 06 and be like, that man is a man still in his 20s.
It's kind of remarkable, to be honest.
Rhino in this match is 5 years younger than I am. Oh.
And but looks 10 years older than you.
Yeah, it's crazy. So this is an escape the cage rules, which I am more accepting of given there is barbed wire at the top of the cage.
Yeah. If you have to like drag yourself through I'm also fine with escape the cage rules if it isn't through the door. Like if there's barbed wire on the top and you can't go through the door, or if you put barbed wire across the door and you have to go through.
That would be cool.
I just like I want escape not to be the default.
Yeah.
Because it's like it has to be a difficult endeavor. I mean, like I don't really like escape rules in cages. They do kind of ruin them for me normally. But like I don't know. I understand it if there's like significant physical pain that one must traverse.
Yeah, and at least like because in this you can use the cage key to escape, but the babyface has it and does not use it. So
yeah, and also you had to earn it.
Yes, he did earn it in his weapons on a pole match.
What a sentence.
They have to request the keys, chair, bolt cutters, or straight jacket from the referee during the match, but only the ones who won them in the match a couple of weeks ago can request them. TNA does not do his climbing contest rant here. I wonder why.
Because it is one.
Yeah, his old AMW XXX. This isn't a climbing contest. This is a wrestling match rant, and now it's a climbing contest.
Thanks, Vince Russo.
Rhino gets the key, taunts Christian with it, and then throws it out. The key is helpfully labeled cage key in all caps, in case you were wondering what key it was.
In case they misplaced it.
We come back from break. Christian is bleeding. He's bleeding a lot. This is maybe the most I've ever seen Christian bleed in a match.
Has he done any big blade jobs in AEW?
Because that was what I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't think of Christian as a big bleeder. Not that he never does it, but it's certainly not common.
It probably doesn't help that he spent a majority of his career in WWE where they weren't bleeding. But like, I didn't bleed in the Derby match, which would be like the one that I would sort of imagine.
Yeah.
He didn't bleed in the Buried Alive match.
And like, credit to him, if there's any match in TNA so far where he should bleed buckets, it is a barbed wire cage match blow off against his bitter ex-best friend rival.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He did pick his spot. Christian's trying to cut the barbed wire with the bolt cutters. Christian hits a big frog splash. Rhino drags Christian's blood across the barbed wire and then hits a big backdrop. Rhino gets the straitjacket, but Christian cuts him off. Christian hits a top rope on Prettier. Christian ties Rhino to the ropes in a straitjacket. He starts the climb, but then decides to get the chairs instead because Rhino's incapacitated. He goes to hit Rhino, but Rhino low blows him. He gets loose, makes a comeback. Rhino tries to concerto Christian, but Christian moves. Rhino TKOs Christian onto an upright chair, which is always the worst bump in the world.
Yet also the coolest.
Yeah. Then Rhino goes to gore Christian, but Christian is standing between the ropes and the cage door. He hits the gore. Christian goes through the cage door. The cage door flies off its hinges, which is a great looking spot. Christian hits the floor. He is gored through the door to the floor, but he does win because he has escaped the cage.
A real Abyss winning the NWA title moment.
Yeah, at least this one, I think, more fits Christian's character than like the monster Abyss winning like a chicken shit bitch.
Yeah. If Christian won the title in that exact same way.
Yeah, that would be tremendous. If Christian was lying on the floor bleeding, suddenly NWA champion, that would work.
Yeah, that would actually deliver.
Whereas Abyss, like the big 6'8" monster, won it that way. You're like, what? No.
Yeah.
Really good match, really bloody, really violent. Crowd are super duper into it. I think it's the best match they've had so far. It's better than their Bound for Glory match. The stipulation could be a little goofy for you, but I think they play it very straight, pardon the pun, because there's a straight jacket. But yeah, I think one of the better matches in the history of the Impact television show. I think maybe only behind Joe and Daniels.
I think we both went 4 on it.
Yeah, 4-star match.
Yeah, it's really good.
So this is, more or less, Genesis would be the 1 year point at which Christian has been in TNA. How do you feel about Christian's first year in TNA?
I think he's a welcomed addition, if not like a total game changer. Probably has had a little bit of it stolen out from under him with Kurt and with Sting coming in. But like overall, like it's been fine, if not like super impressive.
Yeah, because like the babyface run, he had some good matches, but he was just trying to be like the Rock style babyface too much, and that's especially watching it in hindsight.
It's just ass. It's just not a good gimmick by any standards anymore.
And you're a famous Rock hater, I learned recently.
I mean, he was never my guy. I don't really enjoy him.
So a guy kind of doing a Rock knockoff is your personal nightmare.
Yeah, like I mean, I think it's just corny, and like. I think it's dorky, and if you don't have the charisma of The Rock, like, why are you even trying?
It's also, I think, so every time somebody does it, firmly rooted in its individual time period. Mm-hmm. Like, if you watch The Rock do a 1999 promo, you're like, that's a man doing a 99 promo. Same with Christian. It's like, you look like a man in 2006 that's starting to be cool in
MJF
2006.
in 2023 or 2024 when he was a babyface.
Yeah, you're going to look back at that and be like, that is so, like, weirdly of its time. So that I think it just ages terribly. Not that it was great in the first place, but it ages even worse.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't do much for me. I think, and also, you know, Christian historically better heel. So I think it's like, it's not a bad run, but like I'm kind of more excited for what's to come as he is firmly just like a heel now.
He has been substantially better since September or August when he turned on Sting. Like substantially, like it's night and day. He is like, not that he was a bad part of the show, but he is a much better part of the show now. I'm actively excited if Christian comes out for something, where I was like, oh, let's see what this Christian thing is before he turned heel. Christian then spins off into a feud with AJ Styles, but we have to go backwards a little bit to talk about the AJ Styles Chris Sabin stuff first, and Daniels as well, I guess, as we have interlocking stories this month.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of stories that happen for TV that they just don't deliver on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, because like AJ is involved with Daniels and Sabin the whole month, and then just randomly has like a pay-per-view match with Christian that's set up at the last minute. It's
very silly. I don't understand it, but like I'll take it.
Do you think they only just realized, like, oh no, we have nothing for Christian on the pay-per-view, let's take Styles out of the X Division title match, which was maybe meant to be a three-way?
See, in my head, I thought it was more of a Styles thing. Like, maybe they realized, why are we going back to the X Division? Well,
yeah.
Like, they had that, like, maybe, like, there was a Vince Russo comes in, he immediately is like, all right, AJ, X Division is my, like, happy place. And then goes sort of like, well, he might be a bit beyond this now.
Yeah. Or, well, because as you see by the end of this, it's setting up a different attitude for AJ. So maybe Vinny Woo was like, oh, fuck this X Division shit. I want him to have personality.
But there can be no personality in the X Division.
Ever. Only old personalities being inflicted on new wrestlers, apparently. Though we haven't quite gotten to that part yet. So AJ and Sabin were having those issues through the Fight for the Right tournament, as AJ defeated Sabin to win the X Division title.
It's a bit of an issue.
Some notes after that match, which this is one where I'm like, were they just guessing and they were wrong, or did like plans change immediately? But TNA wants AJ Styles as the centerpiece of the X Division, which is why Chris Sabin's title victory at Bound for Glory was ignored on Impact and he lost immediately. Russo is high on Styles and believes the move to primetime is a good time to re-establish Styles top of that division. He loses the title in the next TV taping after that note, so...
That's why I kind of think maybe like he had an idea and then had a realization of that's not the best use of AJ. Because like if he comes back and he's not been watching the product and he's like, I'm now in charge of it again, he probably thinks AJ Styles X Division champion is my easy plot, my easy spot. It's my thing I can go to. It is concrete. And then like after seeing where he's at, he's probably like, oh well, maybe this is a little beyond that.
This guy has moved on a little bit from October, November 2004. And he does say he hasn't been watching wrestling since. I don't believe it. But he does say that. Angle told Sabin that he was a great wrestler, but he didn't like his look. Angle said he looked too dirty and didn't stand out.
That's a classic story.
Angle later made the suggestion, and was apparently serious, that Sabin do a gimmick where he looked like Pigpen in the old Peanuts comic strip, and have food and dirt all over him. Let's just say a lot of people excited about Angle having creative input after that were shaking their heads.
That's the stinky kid.
Do wrestlers just have the worst ideas?
Yes, that's how they need non-wrestlers to book things.
Like, is it just the worst? When we talk about like, oh, you know, like how do these bad ideas get through? Do you have to just think about, was that the compromise from the 15 times worse idea all the time?
Well, yeah, because, like, famously, guy with terrible booking ideas, Bryan Danielson, who, like, always pushes stupid-ass shit.
Yes.
And it's, like, is the greatest of all time.
And, like, there was that Jake Hager AEW interview where he was like, I wanted to be Groot with my hat. And you're like, whoa, we're so stupid.
Is it bad I don't hate that idea for Jake Hager comedy gimmick?
That's true. He was one-upped by his hat. His hat did have more personality than he did. So leading into it is not the worst idea.
Like, I think that's kind of fine for him specifically.
You know what I think the issue is? Wrestlers only have ideas for bits.
Yes. Because they're not very funny.
all they can do is like individual bits. It's like, what if Chris Sabin was the Peanuts guy? There's no like story or like long-term narrative, even though they're fucking non-stop talking about that shit. All their ideas are just like, what if I had one bit? And that bit can be funny, but then they often just do that bit until you want to die.
Yeah. There's no level beyond that.
So Sabin ends up costing AJ Styles the Fight for the Right tournament final match, which leads to an X Division title match on the Primetime special. During the Samoa Joe Jay Lethal match, Sanjay comes in to break up Joe, attacking Lethal after the match. And Jerry Lynn is like, Sabin, get out there too. And Sabin is just like, no.
Sabin's like, why would I?
And there is a whole like thread through the month of Jerry Lynn trying to like guide and instruct Chris Sabin, and Chris Sabin is just like, leave me alone.
I kind of thought we had moved on from this, to be honest.
Well, it's setting up an angle with Jerry, so it's not going nowhere at least.
But like, it just felt like we've been doing that for months, and then like it kind of felt like they were on the same page again briefly.
Yeah, because he was like, look at my belt, I won it. And Jerry was kind of like, I guess you did.
Yeah, like you've sort of proven me wrong.
But then they continue to like sit in the crowd with Jerry watching matches as Craven's.
Which is, again, feels like they're on the same page. Like Jerry's like, all right, these kids ain't all that bad.
But no, Sabin is bored and wants to rebel.
Mm-hmm.
So later in that show, we get an X Division title match. It is AJ Styles defending the belt against Chris Sabin and Christopher Daniels.
The true three-way.
The Styles Daniels Sabin three-way. There is a Styles Joe Sabin three-way next year that is like, it kind of rocks, and it's one of the most, I think, underrated matches in TNA history.
Okay.
It's edited to death for TV though. That's the only downside.
This is fun. Mainly because you're seeing the dissolution of the AJ Daniels team. They're back to their own like gear again.
Yeah, so like when Daniels lost his Fight for the Right match and AJ tried to help him after the match, Daniels was like, oh, you know, you have the X Division title now and I lost my match. Fine.
I know, like, their problems with each other are very silly.
Yeah.
They're very like surface level.
It is like, we need to invent problems with these men very quickly after they were a seamless team for 6 months.
Like just have a conversation together, you know?
Yeah, that's what Rhino's saying.
True. Rhino is the representative of the audience.
AJ and Daniels don't work together in this match until they do, and then they don't anymore. It's very funny. A bloody, bandaged Christian Cage, because this match took place shortly after the barbed wire steel cage match. He wanders out, grabs a microphone, like bandage on his head, blood still visible, like out of it, and he's like, I'm undefeated. I'm the real #1 contender. I really like that bit.
Yeah. It's also like, in my mind, does he think it's the tournament finals?
And he's in it, yeah.
It's like did he get the shit kicked out of him so much that he saw AJ and he's like, it's the finals. I gotta go out there and let them know I'm the real #1 contender.
So AJ dropkicks Christian off the apron, brawls to the back after Christian did interfere in the Fight for the Right finals as well. He hit both AJ and Abyss with a chair in that match. So it is like an intersecting story, and Rhino does come into it as well. So they do like try and tie it all together, but it does feel a little messy.
Yeah, but you know, we'll see how it progresses a little bit, I guess. We are kind of like marathoning it into 2 weeks.
Daniels counters the Cradle Shock into a crucifix pin to win the X Division title. The third champion since Bound for Glory.
I don't have a problem with it. The X Division title can be a little jumpy.
All right. AJ's mad that Daniels won the belt.
Again, he's mad at Daniels. It's not his fault.
He took his belt unhonorably because AJ was not currently present.
It's not his fault. He wrestled the match.
He did. He beat the guy in front of him.
What's he meant to do? Go out there and help AJ?
Yeah, help his friend fight Christian.
He's got a damn title to win.
And he did.
Yeah, so AJ should stop being such a whiny little bitch.
So this is not only AJ Styles' final X Division title reign,
which is kind of crazy,
as it comes to an end after 2 weeks.
For now.
This is also AJ's final televised X Division title match.
That's kind of crazy.
He has like a couple of 2007, 2008 X Division title matches against like Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal. But this is it. This is it for AJ. He is never in an X Division title match on television again. He's in TNA for another 8 years after this, 7.5. And he never has another X Division title match.
Which makes me again think that like maybe that was part of why like Russo like was a reconsideration or something. Or maybe AJ came up to Russo and was like, I need to be above this now.
It's like, yeah, because he was in the heavyweight division in '05, in it being kind of generous, because he went like X Division champion, won the world title, lost the world title, right back to the X Division. So like he flirted with being world champion in 2005, but went right back to the X Division, then went into the tag division, which is fine. Like he had a good tag, like the LAX matches were really good, the AMW matches were really good, he had a nice little tag run with Daniels, but you would have to imagine coming out of that, AJ would have to be like, let me play with the big dogs. I want to wrestle Christian. I want to wrestle Sting. I want to wrestle Angle. Why am I stuck down here with Chris Sabin doing Jerry Lynn angles?
Yeah. It certainly feels like maybe a general backstage consensus.
Yeah. They were like, we do need to move on from this. That spins off into 2 matches for the pay-per-view because Christian interfered, cost AJ the X title. It spins into AJ versus Christian on the pay-per-view. And Sabin gets, I guess, technically a rematch against Daniels, even though he wasn't champion. And I guess this should have been... Sabin just gets a match against Daniels. There's not a good reason for that.
It makes very little sense, actually, now that I'm considering it.
Yeah, just as I was trying to rationalize it, I was like, no, that makes no sense at all, because like this would be his X Division title rematch, and he lost. And he got pinned, too. So it's not even you can like do the 3-way thing where it's like, oh, you got the shot in the 3-way.
Like,
you didn't...
in my head, it was like, oh, he could have beat 8, but he didn't.
Yeah, he got pinned. So, yeah, Sabin just gets another shot at Daniels, because sure.
Because who cares? It's the X Division.
That's the attitude, yeah. Which brings us to Genesis. JB has Daniels. JB asks about winning the title from AJ. Daniel says, we're best friends, but when it comes to titles, his first priority isn't friendship, it's victory.
Makes sense.
Says he and AJ built the X Division, and he's going to show Sabin why he's the longest reigning X Division champion of all time.
Okay.
And then we get Daniels versus Sabin for the X Division title as Daniels retains.
An interesting little match that doesn't really get a chance to get going because there's too busy focusing on like AJ stuff and Lynn stuff and, you know.
Yeah, like the crowd are with them at the start and they kind of lose them a little bit in like the heat segment, I guess, because I don't think they hate Sabin that much.
Yeah, I don't think they love Daniels that much.
Yeah, Daniels is kind of like the guy that they liked when he was with AJ. And like Daniels did have momentum at the start of the year, I guess. Like they were super into him with the Joe stuff.
Yeah, there was that period where like Daniels was like hot.
Like when he did that like return to attack Joe for like the proper Daniels babyface turn, the crowd were super into him, but it feels like...
It's cold.
Yeah, coming out of the Styles and Daniels team, it doesn't feel like Daniels has momentum there anyway.
Nah, it has certainly cooled down.
Sabin looks to try and use a chair, but AJ comes out and removes the chair from the ring. And Daniels hits a big dive over the post onto Sabin on the floor. Daniels hits a tight DVD followed by a BME for a near fall. Daniels reverses the cradle shock into a crucifix that really looks like it was meant to be the finish. And then Daniels immediately reverses the future shock into a different cradle for the pin. And I believe like Rudy Charles walks up to Daniels and says something right after the finish. And I think it's him being like, sorry, I fucked that.
Interesting. But hey, Rudy's got to call it like a shoot.
Sabin tries to use a chair after the match. Jerry Lynn comes out and stops him. Jerry Lynn throws down his staff badge and says, if Sabin has a problem, let's solve it. Sabin shakes Daniels' hand, but as Lynn goes to leave, he pulls Daniels into a cradle shock, as Sabin is not a man to be trusted.
He's a snake.
He is. And then the other match on the show is Christian Cage versus AJ Styles. JB has Christian before the match. He asks if he's overlooking AJ. Says AJ is just one in a many growing list. He's waiting for the winner of the main event, and then hits the "if you don't know now you know" catchphrase, which I think is the first time he's hit that as like his heel catchphrase.
Doesn't exactly stick with me, to be fair.
Someone in NXT used that too. I don't remember who. It might have been Carmelo Hayes. But anyway. Christian AJ, first time ever match, I believe, at this point. Their only real proper, like, lengthy match. They do a TV match or two. This is their only pay-per-view match. How are you feeling about Christian AJ?
I don't really feel a lot. Like, I only watched a couple of days ago, and I don't really remember much about it, to be honest.
I only remember the one instance where Christian nearly died.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have much to say about them. I think, like, they feel like on paper they'd have, like, really good chemistry.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, Christian has, like, some problems when he's not, like, the more dynamic guy in the match. Like, he can kind of get lost in it, I feel, sometimes. So, like, maybe it's just a little bit of a case of that.
Yeah, like, I think that's the historical impression of this match, because you see on pay-per-view, you see Christian Cage against AJ Styles, hell fucking yeah. And then you watch the match, and, like, it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, like, it's just kind of a decent little pay-per-view match that doesn't leave a lasting impression.
Yeah. It is kind of fun that this match is on the same show as Joe and Angle.
Yeah.
Like, these are both really big sort of, like, first-time matches. One is treated much more as one, but, Like, because, like, you know, I feel like if you advertised Cage Styles as, like, a bigger deal, it could have been a bigger deal, too.
Yeah, that's like a pay-per-view main event in different circumstances where you could carry an entire show on AJ and Christian.
Yeah.
So AJ looks to lift Christian overhead as an unprettier counter, but Christian over-rotates and does a full flip and nearly dies.
It's pretty fucking gnarly.
That happens to Christian at least like once or twice a month.
Yeah, he's got a wacky relationship with contorting his body.
He is an underrated bump freak in this era.
Yeah. Even, like, to this day, he's still kind of a weirdo. He'll bust out some crazy shit.
AJ does his big flip dive, but on the rail side and just fucking hammers his legs off the rail.
Yeah. AJ does that a lot.
And, like, you know he's gonna do it. Like, it's not like he tries to mitigate it. He just goes full force every time. He's like, I'm just gonna eat it. I'm just gonna eat it. Christian catapults AJ into the corner, but AJ comes back with the reverse DDT. Christian tries to use a chair, so Daniels runs out to stop him in the same way AJ did earlier in the show. Daniels and Christian have a tug of war over the chair, but this allows AJ to go for a roll-up, but Christian just sits down on that roll-up attempt, uses the chair as leverage, and again pins AJ. So Daniels tried to stop Christian from cheating, then accidentally cost AJ the match. This causes Styles and Daniels to argue after the match. Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt come out to calm things down. Rhino follows and is like, you two go away, I got this. He talks about how he just had his best friendship crumble and he's not about to watch that happen to somebody else.
I really like this, actually. I just like the idea of Rhino being like, I've seen friendships really fucking break up lately, and it sucks, and I would like to stop this for someone else. You
guys, you're on the road to a barbed wire cage match, and you don't want it. It sucks. So he demands they shake hands. Daniels offers a hand. AJ's like, thanks, Dr. Phil. If I needed a psychiatrist, I'll give you a call.
Yeah, you ICE agent.
Okay.
Dr. Phil was out doing ice raids.
Yeah, I forgot that he went all the way down the rabbit hole. Fucking Dr. Phil.
Yeah, he's like a freak.
I used to watch the shit out of Dr. Phil.
The thing is, it's like, I hate to be the one friend who's too woke, but like, most of Dr. Phil was just like, let's find like the people going through the most like ridiculous mental health struggles possible and like put a big camera on them.
Because it is funny that like Dr. Phil and Jerry Springer are fundamentally the same show.
Yeah, but like one got treated with some sort of like reverence and respect and one was considered trash TV.
Yeah, but one dude put the word doctor in front of the name and was like, well, you know, he's doing real work here. Whereas you said it's just as like trashy and exploitative. And I've watched enough of it. It used to be on at like 3 a.m. every night in Ireland. And I watched a lot of Dr. Phil. And yeah, it's trash. It is trash.
Yeah, it is kind of vindicating that he ended up being like a gigantic freak.
It makes sense in hindsight, yeah. So AJ has a new attitude. Mike and Don are aghast when AJ said that. They're like, that doesn't sound like AJ Styles at all.
I mean, at different points in time, it sounds like AJ Styles.
That's true.
I'm sure he's told many a person that's tried to like have him explain his feelings and called them Dr. Phil. That feels like something that's come out of AJ's life.
The other X Division feud this month is the simmering tension among Paparazzi Productions.
What do you mean? I think they went to Wrestler's Court and everything was fine.
Our boys, they're not getting along. After our Austin Starr, he had a triumphant debut in the Kevin Nash X Division Gauntlet Battle Royal.
Is that the most controversial man in wrestling?
No, this is Austin Starr. He's a different guy.
Oh, sorry.
Easy to mistake. They look very similar if you look very close, but Starr and Aries.
Is this the guy who posted the photo of the tiger eating pussy?
What?
That's the famous Austin Aries tweet.
No.
Oh, come on. Don't make me read the Austin Aries tweet.
You might have to read the Austin Aries tweet. I'm sorry I'm not clued into the culture as much as you are.
It is, to describe it, it is a drawn image of a tiger-human hybrid with 3 eyes eating pussy from the back. Hashtag World Vegan Day. When you know she's vegan and doesn't taste like battery acid and wet pennies from eating Slim Jims and Kraft mac and cheese.
Excuse me?
At Austin Aries, 6:30 a.m., November 2nd, 2018.
6:30 a.m., that would be Australian time. Why?
This is a very famous tweet. I can't believe I'm having to explain it.
Austin Aries. He truly is the king of controversy.
He is the king of controversy. You cannot deny it.
Do you know what I only just got?
I sent you the image, by the way.
Oh, I'm not gonna have to look at it. But like, he's called Star because like Aries is a star constellation.
Ah,
I only just thought about it. Oh God,
that's stupid.
Why is it like that? Where
your
did he
thought?
find this?
What do you mean?
Where did Austin Aries come across this image?
Probably some vegan Facebook page.
Probably some vegan 4chan. Shout out Aaron Taub, who's one of the replies on this. This tweet is every bit as upsetting today as it was when it was first released. I'm going to take a look at some of the quote tweets on this Austin Aries tweet.
All right, this is a brief interlude.
Billy Gunn Facts tweets, Billy Gunn would never tweet this.
I don't think that's true.
THG does the... remember when he did the Wrestling Twitter Awards?
Yes.
That was the worst tweet.
That's accurate.
The worst tweet of the year was given to that.
That makes sense.
The second worst tweet of the year was Ryan Satin.
Saw it.
Is New Japan without women same as WWE running shows in Saudi? Number 4 is the Melissa Santos yummy penis tweet. This was 1 year, by the way. This was the year 2018.
This is a goat year.
I wouldn't put that in the worst section. How dare they? But yeah, what a tweet.
Shout outs number 7 at Alan Cheapshot. What's wrong with smoking dick?
Yes, naturally. All right. What were we talking about?
Austin Starr.
Oh, yes. So, Bound for Glory. Austin Starr won the X Division Gauntlet Battle Royal. Kevin Nash for Bound for Glory Gauntlet. And Shelley was jealous. Nash was all about him. He was like, look at this new hotness. And Shelley was like, I wouldn't here too. So, first impact of the month, Shelley's with Nash. And he asks if Austin Starr is better than him. Nash confirms that Johnny Devine is out of Paparazzi Productions because he refused to edit the German snuff films.
You gotta applaud a man who would take a stand to go work for Raven.
He's like, this I cannot abhor. I must go be Raven's subservient lackey.
I must go to the morally good leadership of the Raven.
I must arguably go create my own German snuff films with Raven.
Live in the ring.
Austin Starr comes in. Nash says Starr brought back the X Division. Nash asks Shelley to film every frame of Starr's matches. Shelley's like, why? And it's because he's the Austin Starr.
Not a great reason, but we'll take it.
The November 9th Impact, Petey Williams faces Austin Starr and Johnny Devine in a 3-way match. Petey and Devine are already in the ring, which doesn't bode well for them. They do reinforce that Devine has been fired from Paparazzi Production. Nash is on commentary along with Shelley. Tenay is like, hey, you're latching onto this new hot guy, and they try to sow some seeds of jealousy between Nash and Shelley. But Nash says he and Shelley went for sushi in a movie yesterday, and they're fine.
I wonder what movie it was.
All right, where are we? This is November 9th. There was apparently the 3D re-release of The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That sounds appropriate.
Oh no, there is a movie right here that is the movie they definitely saw.
I have one as well, and I'm curious to see if it's the same one.
Borat?
It wasn't Borat. I had 50 Cent Get Rich or Die Trying.
Different kind of movie.
But both movies I could see Kevin Nash and Alex Shelley going to see together.
I hope they did a double feature.
That's a perfect double feature.
Yeah.
Completely unironically, that is a perfect double feature.
If you were to walk into a bar and that's those two movies are the two movies that somebody says their favorite movies of all time, those would be good movies.
The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh, that is in their realm of comedy.
Which was at the end of its goddamn 6-month fucking cinema run. August 19th to December 15th.
Big hit.
It was a big hit.
There was no streaming back in those days, so they just left it in the cinema forever. Devine hits a moonsault. Nash says that's something out of his playbook. Shelley goes for a close-up shot of Starr, allowing Petey to throw Shelley into Starr, and then hits Devine with the Canadian Destroyer for the win. And Nash is very mad at Shelley for this.
But the company was very happy with the debut of Austin Starr.
Yes, apparently they were very happy with his Bound for Glory debut. They're happy with this gimmick, as if they didn't have Austin Aries on their roster for 6 months. They're like, oh, this guy.
This guy has it. Where's he been?
He's wearing very sparkly tights now. I like it.
Talk more about their bullshit backstage segments. I'll be back in a sec. That was very demeaning. I didn't mean it for that way, because these segments are very funny. I just wanted to clarify, The Shelley and Star stuff is funny. It's not the peak of like Paparazzi Productions comedy, but like it's still good.
Yeah.
You got to see ass, you know?
So after their incident, they couldn't get along once again. There's jealousy. Kevin Nash decides to take them to Wrestler's Court. On the primetime special, Shelley and Star, they're pissing backstage. They're standing at the urinals. They're arguing about last week's match. They shake on letting Kevin decide. And when I say shake on, I mean like shaking their dicks while they're peeing. Nash is watching this shaking from the stall behind them and says, "Shut the front door," in the way that Kevin Nash says that is wormed into my brain forever. Shelley asks if Nash is taking the Browns to the Super Bowl. Nash replies he's got a little log jam. Nash ducks down and reemerges in a judge's outfit to preside over Wrestler's Court. Star said Shelley cost him the match last week. Somebody is going to be found guilty tonight. And then the segment ends with the musical sting from What the Hell Are You Waiting For?
What?
That's the song that ends. It's an instrumental version of What the Hell Are You Waiting For, the Jay-Z and Linkin Park song.
Oh, yeah, because they keep doing Linkin Park instrumentals.
I don't know why. It's a different one than last time, but these Paparazzi Productions segments, they're just like, do, 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 at the end of them.
Well, that's Numb. You just did Numb.
Did I?
Yeah. Do, 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 do,
Yeah.
do. That's Numb.
Oh, yeah, I just had the lyric from the song rather than the name of the song. Classic.
Yeah, but like this isn't the first time because for some reason they did it on the pay-per-view too. They just keep adding Linkin Park knockoffs.
They just need to make themselves more trendy, and they do it via Linkin Park.
To be fair, I find a choice.
Could be worse.
Like Linkin Park would still hit today if used.
You wanted it to be used for the All-In match?
Yes, I wanted Heavy as the Crown. Which I have now changed, actually. I have found a better use for it.
Yeah.
I want Heavy as the Crown to be the Don Callis family theme.
Oh, just their theme song?
Yeah, it should be like their unit theme.
And then becomes Kyle Single's theme?
It could. My trips to work now have been listening to the songs on my playlist and then working out which wrestler should have them as themes.
I think that's a good use of time.
Yeah, I want Ash Nico's Riot for the Triangle of Madness.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to keep more in mind as I go. Another really good one, but I forgot what it was.
You should start like making a spreadsheet and send it to Tony Khan.
That should be my job. Just work out what real songs we should give to wrestlers.
Yeah, Tony, if you're listening, give Liam a job.
Please. I'll find a cool theme for Xander Khan Jr. when you sign him. It'll be the Pirates of the Caribbean theme.
The Yuji Nagata version.
Which is just the Pirates of the Caribbean theme.
But it will be his version.
It'll be muted just like Yuji Nagata.
We go back to Paparazzi Productions. Nash has heard the arguments and withdraws to Chambers, which is his toilet stall, as court is now in recess. We come back one more time. You may have been worried about a hung jury, but all you have to be worried about is a hung judge, says Kevin Nash.
Hey, yo.
He cites the precedent of Shawn Michaels versus the Blues Brothers in 1995 and finds in favor of Austin Starr. Demands Shelley give him $100.
So is the implication that the Blues Brothers cost Shawn Michaels a match?
I was going to look into it, but then I didn't bother. I was going to be like, is that an actual match? Did they actually like look into an incident in which the Blues Brothers cost Shawn a match? Or maybe it's something like Diesel cost Shawn the match or something like that? Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe it's his own precedent. But Nash says, nicely done to Starr, as Shelley looks dejected. The back of Nash's robe is open, revealing his ass, as Shelley says, wow, he must work out.
Which, by the way, I don't think was meant to be kept in, because it was over like when they faded to black.
Yeah, Nash is just walking away as the Linkin Park stinger plays once again. And that is like how it airs. It's like, wow, he must work out. Shot of Kevin Nash's ass, Linkin Park song.
It rules.
It's like it would be made up as a joke, as a bit, but it actually aired as is in this TNA Impact television show in 2006.
Of course it did.
That does take us to the pay-per-view in which we have a tag team match. Lance White and Ron Killings face the tag team of Alex Shelley and Austin Starr. Before the match, Nash says he has a bad feeling about this one. They really need to win, so he needs to count on Shelley and Starr to give 90% tonight. He wants to put Wrestler's Court behind him. Starr wants to know where his money is, and Shelley says the check is in the mail. Check your box. They put their hands in and then start grunting. And then we get a tag team match as Lance White and Ron Killings defeat Alex Shelley and Austin Starr.
So they only gave 89%.
And it wasn't enough. Lance White's a man who always gives at least 93.
That's true. It's a fun little like pay-per-view tag match, but it's nothing special.
Yeah, it's one of those that are like, it's very much thrown on the show just to continue to tell this little story, but it's a good little match.
Yeah.
Nash is immediately on commentary, and he immediately starts talking over the ring announcer, and you can actually see, if you look in the wide shot as the entrances are happening, TNA is chastising Nash for talking over the ring announcer. Mm-hmm. Nash does talk about the promise he sees in Chris Sabin, maybe planting some seeds there. Nash talks about the X Division title defense he just had in Budokan. And my favorite part is Mike Tenay is the most bemused looking man in the world as Kevin Nash goes on this 30-second tangent about how he did this fancy splash and won the match in Budokan, and he's still Budokan X Division champion. And Tenay is rolling his eyes. He's looking into the distance. It's wonderful. They should be a commentary team together, except on WCW Thunder. Nash says he's calling a mandatory X Division meeting for Impact, so we'll cover that in the next episode. Kellings and Starr do some dancing antics. Nash is aghast at Lance Hoyt's tattoo. He's like, what the fuck? Why would you get that?
Ain't we all?
They spend the match working over Hoyt's leg. Shelley demands Starr go film him as Shelley is going for a figure 4. This delay causes Hoyt to roll him up, and Nash is like, what the fuck? Nash goes up to Starr and is like, what are you doing? And Starr is like, Shelley told me to, and Nash is just like, you don't listen to him. As our Paparazzi production nonsense continues, and we are on the cusp of the Paparazzi Championship Series.
The peak. Warrior.
Kevin Nash, if you watch the show, you will see his arm is in a sling. He had a surgery on his rotator cuff, which may alleviate some of the pain he experienced in his neck recently.
Vindication.
Which does, Dave says at one point, apparently still stem from Toy Box incident.
Vindication.
He lifted that toy box once and he had to get surgery.
That sucks.
That's what your body does to you, man. Just ask Bad Bunny.
Hop, hop, hop.
That brings us over to the tag division, starting with the continued feud between LAX and AMW. If you remember, this started heading into Bound for Glory when Hernandez hit the border toss on Gail Kim.
Now with added Petey.
Yes, we have flag burning, racism, and Petey Williams. We'll get into it. On the October 26th Impact, the Naturals challenged LAX for the NWA World Tag Team titles. This is the rematch, or the match that they get from winning the Gauntlet match all the way back at No Surrender, when they won that match to become #1 contenders. This is their shot, and they lose in 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, because they haven't had their mean streak yet.
That's true. They're still kind of baby faces until this match. Mm-hmm. And they're firmly heels afterwards.
And they're cool, finally.
You're into the Naturals. They've won you over.
I like the Naturals. They got the long pants now. The gear's looking good. They look like little pricks.
They're wearing leather jackets.
Up Bully Ray.
Is it just because they're beating up Bully Ray that you're like, oh, maybe I'm into this?
No, it's because they look like the Young Bucks.
They do. That was like a comparison that people did used to make all the time.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, it's a specific, not stereotype. What's the word I'm looking for?
Archetype.
Archetype, yeah.
They replayed the border toss on Gail Kim. AMW jump LAX during their entrance and brawl all over the building. I like the way, like, the LAX are jumped before the match and the Naturals still lose in 2 minutes.
And they beat the fuck out of him.
Security eventually ejects AMW. The Naturals run wild before Andy Douglas is jumped to the floor. Homicide drops Chase with the Gringo Killer. Conan hits Douglas with a slapjack. And Hernandez border tosses him for the win. Douglas just looks shell-shocked at the top of the ramp. Shane Douglas, that is. As the LAX celebrate. The November 9th Impact, Tenay and West throws us some footage of AMW doing an autograph signing. They're just signing some 8x10s when suddenly LAX appear from nowhere, attack them. They smash Harris' wrists against a rail and then border toss Storm into a wall.
It kind of rules.
I do think they added little like splat noise when he hit the wall.
I don't know. It just, the Homicide like crawling up from behind that wall and jumping is very funny.
You would be pissed if you were next in line for an autograph.
Oh, hopefully LAX then started signing autographs.
Or they started like ripping up other people's autographs.
So no one gets one and it's fair.
Later in the show, LAX's music hits. Conan says nobody jumps LAX from behind. LAX calls out to PD, who's leaving after the match, because this happens straight after the PD Williams Austin Star Johnny Devine match. He calls out to PD and asks, hey PD, you're not American. You want to burn the flag next week? And PD's like, yeah.
PD's like, I guess. I mean, like, not really like super Canada pilled anymore, but I'll give it a shot.
Conan says the American flag stands for lies, exploitation, and racism, so he's going to spit on it, he's going to urinate on it, and then he's going to burn it.
and we will have nothing to say about any of those statements.
That brings us to the prime time special, November 16th. Eric Young opens the show, leading fans into the Impact Zone to celebrate going prime time with this 2-hour special. Eric Young says he has a big announcement. LAX's music then hits, which causes Eric Young to scream, "Sniper! Sniper! Get out!" as he runs out of the building. Tremendous bit. Conan says they're militant thugs 24/7, 365. This country has turned its back on the immigration issue for too long, so Conan tonight has a message. He's going to burn the flag. AMW's music hits. They brawl for a bit. They face down Conan. This allows LAX to regain the advantage, but Gail Kim arrives and hits a top rope Rana on Homicide. She tries to Rana Hernandez too, but then he maneuvers her back into border toss position, but then Harris makes the save as AMW stand tall after Storm super kicks Hernandez.
This specific LAX segment this week.
This aired on television in 2006, man.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine if a wrestling feud was based around a character going on TV being like this country has turned its back on the immigration issue for too long? Even like Eric Young doing the sniper bit would probably get him cancelled these days. So later in the show, Christy Hemme is chastising LAX about threatening to burn the flag. Not only is it immoral, it's also a federal offense.
That's why they're going to get Petey to do it.
Yeah, he's their patsy. He's their pizza.
Yeah, I think that's legitimately it.
Conan says stop being such a patriot and be a journalist and follow them. Petey walks up and goes with them. So again, later in the show, we go back to the flag burning. Christy Hemme is trying to get them to stop. This is for all the exploitation and racism and stealing of land and everything they've done to their ancestors. Conan is like, Petey, I'm going to let you do it, as Hernandez like gasses it up. Petey then monologues about all the things the flag represents. Politics, war, greed. But it also represents one more thing. And Conan just like sagely nods his head and is like, yeah, racism. His delivery of that fucking killed me. Because it's so obvious Petey is like setting up but Conan is like, speak racism.
Speak on it, Petey.
Petey says no, opportunity.
Huh?
He came to this country with a dream, and this country gave him a chance to fulfill that opportunity. Petey says they can burn it over his dead body, and then launches the blowtorch into the distance. They jump Petey to try and get the flag back to burn it anyway, but then sirens appear, and Conan says, it's the Popo, before LAX flee. As then Mike Tenay does a little speech about what Conan was trying to do, but then Petey is a real American hero.
I've always said this.
I think, when I think of America, I think of the hot dog eating contest.
Yep.
I think of their various bad sports.
Uh-huh.
I think about their cult-like relationship with college football. Mm-hmm. And I think about real American hero Petey Williams.
So true.
Those are the things that are most quintessentially American to me. That does set up the pay-per-view match, which is America's Most Wanted challenging LAX for the NWA World Tag Team titles. It seems reductive to talk about a tag team championship match after they tried to burn the flag on television, but that's what it's building to. JB has LAX earlier in the show. JB is aghast at them wanting to burn the flag, but Petey stopped them. Conan says, like a true Canadian, he's a coward, and if he wants to serve a country that sends its people to get slaughtered under false pretenses in Iraq, then that's fine. Conan fucking spitting this month. Again, how did this air without anybody being like, what the fuck?
Oh, God.
He says it's his constitutional right to burn this flag, and no amount of emails or long-distance phone calls can stop them. JB is like, Jim Cornette's real mad about this. And Conan is like, screw Jim Cornette. We don't take orders from no white boy.
Hell yeah.
I do wonder, obviously the emails and long-distance phone calls thing, I do wonder like how many complaints they did actually get about this, how many like calls and emails to Spike TV there were about like threats to burn a flag on national television.
They didn't do it.
They threatened to do it, though. Later in the show, JB has AMW and Gail Kim. LAX tried to take them out after burying them in the Mexican flag, but they're still here. But then Conan tried to burn the American flag, and that's truly too far. Harris says they may have never been America's favorite, but they will always be America's most wanted.
Bah.
Storm says the First Amendment protects them from the government, but not from AMW.
Bah.
He then gets a little racist doing fake languages, and then gets a lot racist by saying LAX are only good at swimming and drywalling.
Not a bar. Gonna say, not a bar on that one.
It was going so well until the racism. And that does bring us to the match in which LAX defeated America's Most Wanted to retain the NWA World Tag Team titles.
Kind of a fun little match.
Yeah.
They're like, these are teams that are good together. They're like a little wonky and a little dangerous, but in a good way, you know?
These are like big beefy boys and also Homicide throwing their bodies at each other.
In like a Sasha Banks match kind of way. Where you're like, it's a little sloppy, but it makes it better. Sasha Banks. I guess that was more that era, to be fair.
Yeah, she still kind of dies, but more in a more of a structured way these days.
Yeah, like it really was like a Sasha era thing that was like the matches were kind of like super dangerous.
Especially like it's the Charlotte matches in particular. Like those two fucking killed each other.
Yeah.
AMW have their slightly revamped theme here with more gongs at the start, more like hammer bongs. Conan says the First Amendment will protect them from the consequences of burning the flag tonight, as we start with the brawl at ringside. Heat on Harris, hot tag to Storm. Harris goes for the usual like left arm lariat off the ropes, but Hernandez trips as he's coming in, and they just like collide full force, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Hernandez hits Harris with a top rope cracker jack. Hernandez hits Storm with a rough alpha bomb where Storm just comes down on its side. Also, again, looked kind of awesome because he just kind of dumped him. They hit the death sentence on Hernandez, but Conan distracts the ref. This allows Homicide to hit Storm with the blowtorch, and Hernandez scores the pin. Homicide is about to Gringo Killer Gale when PD makes the save with a pipe. Jim Cornette comes out, says LAX are guilty of gross misconduct and bad taste, calls the racism they experience perceived, which, Jim, way to deny their lived experience.
Listen here, you stupid sons of bitches.
Gives a hoorah speech about all the people who died for the flag to defend their rights, and that is literally one of Conan's points. He is literally like, all these people died in vain because I don't even have any rights. Nobody has rights. That's the problem. The crowd are with Cornette for the hoorah stuff, but then he strips LAX of the tag titles and the crowd start booing and chanting bullshit.
They're like, hey, that's a little far.
It's like, we actually like them as wrestlers. We want to see them as tag team champions.
Which is very funny.
Cornette then says they have until Thursday to hand over the belts or they will be fired. So a wild month, a wild angle, the kind of thing, every step of the way you're like, this would have caused 17 different culture wars if it happened today. Which somehow makes it feel all the more timely to watch now.
It feels so timely. It's crazy.
It's very strange to watch somebody go on TV being like, how dare you demonize immigrants? And you're like, yes, preach. It's very, very strange. But because like people talked about how like cutting edge this was at the time. And it's one of the very, very, very rare instances of a wrestling company using a current like political issue in a way that doesn't feel real, corny, and bad.
Yeah.
I guess the only issue being like the baby faces in hindsight do seem real corny and bad when they're like, oh, racism. That's our response to you.
But like, again, like it could have just not been that. It was so close to just not being that.
Because the AMW lines about like, oh, we're never America's favorite, we're always America's most wanted, and the First Amendment may protect you from the government, but not from us. And that stuff is good.
Yeah.
And then they veer. They
do veer.
But interesting angle, good match. That brings us to the continued adventures of the newly franchised Naturals.
Of course it does. Just as they're getting good, everything's going well.
October 26th Impact, they do lose to LAX. After the match, Shane Douglas slaps Stevens, but Stevens slaps Shane Douglas back.
It's fucking awesome.
Andy Douglas then decks Franchise. Franchise, bleeding from the mouth, smirks.
This is what he wants from the newly franchised Naturals. He wants that mean streak.
He's finally gotten through to them. They finally have the killer instinct. So in the Fight for the Right Battle Royal, there's a period where Brother Ray is talking to Franchise. Brother Ray's not in the match. Runt and Devon are, but Brother Ray is at ringside. And Franchise is just like whispering in his ear. And then 2 weeks later, we get an in-ring promo segment.
Which I think is good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like, I just like the attack, you know? I just think it's like, so like they have like this really kind of like odd promo back and forth, and like Shane Douglas is like, Bully Ray, you whispering in my ear, you disrespected me, and then Bully's like, I have so much respect for you, what are you doing? It's just I disagreed with what you whispered to me sultrily during the match. And then like Franchise is like, he puts over the Naturals and he's like, yeah, they earned everything. What have they done? And then says that the Dudleys are washed up. True. And insults ECW, which I think is where Ray has the real problem.
Yeah, because like they never actually explain what it is they have a problem about. Like it is this aloof thing where it's like, you whispered in my ear and I'm mad and you're mad and we're both mad, but we're never going to tell you what we're mad about. Mm-hmm. I wonder, was it like cut or something, or was there like an angle cut, or was there like a line?
I just think
promo?
they don't care about telling us.
It's just like, we need a reason for these guys to be at odds, and this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then they do the angle. Franchise slaps Bully, and then the Naturals jump him. They pull out a table. They whip Bully through a table they set up in the corner. Mike and Don are like, where the hell's Devon? He's not coming to help. And then we cut backstage as Devon is lying in a pile of rubble groaning.
I think the beatdown's really good. And like them like putting him through the table looked really cool. I don't know. I think like there's a really simple way to make someone cool, which is just like, we're gonna have like 2 young guys beat up some old guys.
It does help. A tables match between the Naturals and Team 3D is made for the next week on Impact on the Prime Time special. Before that match, JB has 3D. He asks about the issues with the Naturals. Last week was the night the Naturals stood up and the world took notice. They committed the ultimate sin of putting Bully through a table. Now 3D will be the last thing they ever see, which I think might be true. I think 3D might be the last thing the Naturals ever see in this company. We then have a tables match, single table to a finish. If somebody is put through a table, their team loses. 3D are about to put Andy Douglas through a table, but Shane Douglas pushes him out of the way and eats a 3D through a table instead, so takes a bullet for his boys. Naturals hit a 3D on Bully, and then they slam Devon through a table with a double spinebuster for the win. They said 3D had never lost a tables match, even though Royal Rumble 2000 is arguably the most famous tables match of all time, where they lost to the Hardys. They've also been beaten by Road Dogg and X-Pac, Shane and Vince McMahon, X-Factor, Kane and Undertaker, Lance Storm and William Regal, and Batista and Ric Flair, and that is only counting straight tag team matches. They've also lost like 6-man tag team tables matches. But they did lose to the Naturals.
To be fair, it's like it's very weird to like give Naturals this like push before they get bounced from the company.
I wonder, because we are about to talk about a pay-per-view match that has a botched finish. And I wonder, is it just the case where they fucked the finish to that match and they're like, fuck it, we don't care.
Yeah, maybe.
So that takes us to Genesis, where the Naturals are backstage with JB and Shane Douglas. The table 3D were put through has 3D was here on it. They brag about beating 3D in their own match. They're like, 3D fled to Japan because the fans there still don't know any better. They still think 3D are the best tag team of all time. They then proceed to list 100 tag teams better than Team 3D, which I thought was weird, but you know what? I'm into it.
But poignant in a certain way.
The Naturals proved otherwise, and 3D aren't here tonight, so they will beat Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt in a tag team match instead. And Jerry Lynn leads Lethal and Dutt out as far as the ramp. Andy Douglas hits a very nice looking running knee. Dutt hits a seated senton that looks more like he got power bombed. It's like he was left like too short and then just came back down on his own head. Lethal adjusts Dutt's moonsault trajectory in midair at one point, which is quite cool. Franchise tries to interfere but gets decked, but this interference allows the Naturals to beat Dutt with what was meant to be their finish, which is a missile dropkick powerbomb combo. Except Andy Douglas missed the missile dropkick so bad he hit Chase Stevens in the ass, and Chase Stevens just powerbombed them and won anyway, and Don was like, what a great finisher.
But it's like, in theory it is.
It would be like, because Chase was too far away, which was the problem. And if Andy actually hit it with them halfway across the ring, it would have looked awesome.
Yeah.
But Andy left it short, hit Chase in the ass, finish kind of looked like shit. And I do wonder if there's just like, we're trying this experiment with this team that they clearly don't 100% believe in. Like, they had them squashed by LAX in 2 minutes this month. If they believed in the Naturals, that wouldn't have happened. So maybe this thing that is still like on the fence, new booker has just come in, he sees this finish and he's like, just fuck off, we'll blow this off pretty quick.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, bro, they have the Natural Disaster, which is a great finish.
That's what drives me crazy. It's like an all-timer finish that somebody should steal.
Yeah.
And we round things out, as we always do, with VKM. Oh, dearie me.
At least this is the famous one, you know?
There's some meat on the bone here.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
So during the Fight for the Right Reverse Battle Royal, BG James was meant to be in the match, but apparently he refused under grounds that are a little unclear. So Kip James was in the match instead. We also saw Matt Bentley at one point standing in the stands dressed as Raven.
I forgot that these two things were united.
We're not supposed to realize he was dressed as Raven, I don't think, but he was clearly dressed as Raven.
He's meant to just look like a weird freak.
Then the following week, after the Ron Killings Lance Hoyt match, the James gang interrupts. BG shakes Ron's hand as Ron is like, what the hell are you doing? 3LK family drama lives. BG talks about how a couple of guys who couldn't get over hired BG and Kip to carry them, but they couldn't fool them anymore, and then fired them, and then carried on pretending they were the real stars of that stable. He then accuses TNA management of dropping the ball on the very marketable 3 Live crew. Says if they can't find him work, then he knows where to find it. The James gang has been back together for 6 months, and management is dropping the ball again. So he throws his TNA hat into the crowd and says, we've seen the last of the James gang.
Yes!
It's over!
Thank
Our national
God!
nightmare!
I'm free!
We will never see the James gang again.
Why are you saying it like that?
It's because we'll never see the James gang again. Kip says BG has gone soft and then says TNA Spike TV, and then his mic is cut before he can go any further. Kip goes to the desk to get on the headset, and then that mic is cut too. He stands on the desk to try and shout something out as we throw the break.
He's gonna drop a slur.
Probably.
But they would have left it on for that, and he would have been cheered.
During the Christian Cage Rhino match, the Weapons or Escape 4 Corners pole match, Maverick Matt jumps in the ring with his Raven look and attacks Rhino. And then after the match, a green-haired Kazarian also attacks Rhino. Matt joins in on the attack. Rhino gores Matt and then smashes Kazarian through a table. So whatever this reboot is, it's certainly already going well for those two boys.
It'll get better.
On the Prime Time special, Eric Young leads a fan conga line out. TNA thanks Spike TV for giving them the prime time and once again encourages you, as usual, to text your friends and instant message them about TNA. Eric Young says the sniper's gone now, so he's going to make a big announcement. Kaz and Maverick Matt with a gremlin-looking Johnny Devine interrupt. They're all dressed very gothy. Kazarian says their great redeemer has opened their eyes.
Miro.
Yeah, he would have been like 19 at this point. That would have been cool. It's no longer about winning or losing, but what you're willing to sacrifice. Now, the next show is Genesis. A new theme song hits, and Voodoo Kin Mafia come out.
Help me, they're in my house!
Dun, 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 dun. They destroy Kazarian, Matt, Divine. They walked out 2 weeks ago. Now they're back.
So, the implication here is, we can go somewhere else. They couldn't go somewhere else, and now they're back.
They've rebranded as the Voodoo Kin Mafia.
And what's the initials for that?
That's VKM.
What could that mean?
Very kill myself.
Which is how I feel watching them.
And now they have the permission to do anything they please, because they got one thing to return, and that's creative control.
How did they get that?
Because they made contractual demands, I guess. That's how they didn't go elsewhere, Liam, because they got creative control.
How did they get that?
I like the idea that, like, within the confines of this being its own in-universe thing, it's just like, our stories were bad, and now we're writing them ourselves.
Because it's fake.
Yeah. Kip has dyed his hair as well.
Which is cool. It's the one cool thing that's happened.
His hair is now red. VKM has decided to use this creative control to declare war on Paul Levesque, Michael Hickenbottom, and
Michael
Vincent
Hickenbottom.
K. McMahon.
Vincent K. McMahon.
They give their history of DX from their perspective, that they were like the stars and the things that got over. And then Sean and Hunter, they like rode the coattails and then pushed them to the side. And then bury current DX because VKM are good and DX are not.
True.
This does draw from the crowd a DX sucks chant.
The blow-off is going to be amazing.
when they do the interpromotional show and they wrestle DX.
Yeah, of course.
And to be, like, this was at the peak of terrible 2006 DX. Like, this was right around the time of, like, the Survivor Series Spirit Squad shit. So, like, DX were dog shit. It was an easy dunk. People hated that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so cringe. I can't remember the context of this next line. Kip says they're the biggest pieces of shit, but BG takes... What? Oh, he's...
I think he says that DX are the biggest pieces of shit.
Ah, yes.
But I like to imagine he's talking about themselves.
But BG then takes the mic. They will come by air, sea, and land. They're bringing war to their front door.
They already did that. It's called Cookie Gate, and it was better.
And it also featured BG James.
I know.
And it was better. He was better in that too.
I know.
On his online blog, Jim Ross reacted to the VKM storyline on Impact. TNA using the WWE as part of a storyline makes no sense to me. I am sure they have their reasons, but I would rather devote the valuable TV time promoting my own stars and not providing another brand the stretch. I don't know what that means. Trying to recreate the Monday Night Wars may be a nice goal, but is about 10 years too late. But then again, I could be wrong.
That's remarkably nice of Jim.
He's like, it's a bit stupid, but you know what? Maybe it'll work.
Yeah, it won't, so you don't have to, Jim. It's fine.
And that takes us to the pay-per-view, in which VKM faced Kazarian, Maverick Matt, and Johnny Devine in a 3-on-2 handicap match.
Yep.
This new act once again going very well for Kazarian, Maverick Matt, and Johnny Devine. They're all fully gothed out with like white kendo sticks. They tap the sticks on the ring post. VKM have the full entrance with the little slide doors that open up on the side of the stage. They did, I believe, have that on TV too, but they didn't actually shoot it properly, so you didn't see it on TV, but you saw it here.
Yeah. I like the entrance.
I like the theme song as well. It's too bad it's for these guys.
Yeah.
BG's pants say war on them, so he clearly wants to be booked by Tenru.
Amazing reference, Garrett.
Thank you. I even wrote it into the notes.
So you wouldn't forget.
Definitely, so I would forgot that joke if I didn't write it into the notes. BG does the HBK flying forearm, but then screws up a kip up deliberately, like for comedy. Inverted comatose comedy. Kip pedigrees Matt, tunes up the band for a super kick, but abandons it because he thinks it's stupid. He stops a Divine flying nothing and hits the Missouri boat ride for the win. BG grabs a mic and calls out Vince, Shawn, and Triple H using their government names. The ground war is about to begin on Impact.
Okay.
We were talking about that Connecticut house show. I believe that's when they filmed what is to come. The ground war.
They should bring a tank to them.
That would be one of the most iconic moments in wrestling history, I would have heard.
It would kill them instantly, I hear.
There's many DVDs that could have been sold off the back of it. After the match, Maverick Matt and Kazarian have Divine blindfolded in the ring as Raven's music hits. It turns out he's the guy behind this group.
It's not Miro?
It's not Miro.
Oh my god.
Wasn't Raven teased as like the Dark Order guy at one point?
But I don't know if he was teased.
But, like, remember, he was randomly in the crowd when they were, like, teasing who was the Exalted One.
Yeah, I remember vaguely this.
And I think people were like, my god, it's Raven.
I think that was more of, like, a red herring. Or a raven.
Caw.
A different bird.
Not a magpie that attacked me today.
Garrett was viciously attacked by a bird.
We have talked on this podcast extensively about fighting birds, and I am vindicated in my thinking it's harder to fight a bird based on that magpie attacking me.
And I just say you're wrong.
If the scorpion tried to attack me, I would have gotten away. The bird can come. The bird was like 50 meters behind.
You are forgetting giant components of this, which include being stuck in the room with no shoes.
Yeah, but like that bird at one point was like 50 meters behind me, and I was like, all right, it's fed up, I'm safe. So I was like walking as if like, yeah, I'm fine. And then it came back. It flew back.
Yeah, that wouldn't have happened in a 5x5 room.
I would have been able to keep my eyes on it the whole time. You are right. Fucking birds. But yes, Raven comes out. He is the man behind this new stable. He is the redeemer of Kazarian, Maverick Matt, and Johnny Devine. They remove Johnny Devine's blindfold as Raven cracks Devine repeatedly with a kendo stick. Don struggles with what color the kendo stick, but Mike today informs it's purple. Don is like, in the light, I can't work out what color Raven's is. And Mike is just like, it's purple.
Thanks. Don West reveals colorblindness live on Genesis 2006.
I relate to my king, my colorblind king. Divine sits there and stoically takes it as Raven punishes him. Raven leaves as Divine gets back to his feet.
Also, beats the fuck out of him.
It did look like it hurt. Those things left some marks. The idea is that they're bringing back Raven's flock with Bentley and Kazarian as members. They didn't seem too happy when first being told.
Shocked to learn this.
I'm sure this first month of it has really won them over with the quality of creative.
Well, they look better.
They do look cool.
Yeah, they look better than they looked with their shitty ass jeans.
They do look cooler, I guess. That's the bar.
They've gone from a 1 to a 2.
But they are constantly getting their ass kicked by Rhino and the Voodoo Kin Mafia.
Good for them.
And that is it. That is the month that is November 2006. The first, real full Russo month. And there is certainly signs.
Yeah, it feels Russo-y. TV's okay. It's least interesting. But we had a really kick-ass pay-per-view main event, and that's the real takeaway from it.
Yeah, some real good matches this month with that and with Christian and Rhino in the cage match on TV.
Yeah.
Those are legit, go out of your way to see. They're worth watching wrestling matches. And then there's some other good stuff. And then there's pole matches, and there is tag teams breaking up left, right, and center. There's a bunch of just Russo staples, a bunch of wackiness. Stories that should be 6 months long that are 2 weeks long and also don't make sense. We're getting the full gamut of Vince Russo nonsense. But as you said, the TV is more watchable.
You gotta give him that.
We will be back on Patreon at tnachat.com with an episode of Rain Takers in the next week or so. You can follow us on Twitter at Garrett Kidney. You can follow Liam on Twitter at the Gleet Muda, the podcast on Twitter at TNA History. Subscribe to us on YouTube at You've Got to Be Kidding Me, or follow us on TikTok at TNA History. Check out our merch in the description below. Thanks for listeing, and bye-bye.
Help me, they're in my